So here is one of our class 10 machines here, the Sports Light buggy. Little Honda CBR 1100cc powered race frame joker. Blake Ridley on his off-road debut out of Waikerie. So it's great to see Blake back in the building. We'll get a time for those guys from the team. And Blake Ridley goes 10th quickest with a 12:44.
Wow.
So a very nice time there for young Blake. We'll also see the Nissan Patrol entry of Heath and Michelle Whedon, the 779 come through into the building. So we'll keep an eye on the time for those guys, our sole production four-wheel drive competitors here this weekend, and they go 21st quickest with a 14:07. Unfortunately, I believe there might be a few OLTs happening at the moment, so that's why the vehicles return to the tracks. Unfortunately, the Robbie and Frank Gattaletta Jimco 2000 Chev powered entry 32 is down for a DNF in section 1. So unfortunately for young Robbie, his debut drive of his father's Jimco has not ended well here early on day 1.
So everyone at home there, mate, an observed licence test is a way of getting your licence here. And for off-road racing, the officials and Stuart will observe you in a short track. They probably normally do a shortened course just to demonstrate that they are capable of driving here. So no more ILTs happening out there. Our event director's saying that everyone is just a finisher now. So Heath Whedon in the Nissan Patrol there, the GT stump pulling Whedon Springs boarding kennel, and Mickey Thompson tired Nissan Patrol. It's got a 4.8 litre TB48. Lap time there 14 minutes and 7 seconds, puts him down as 21st.
Great to see Dougie Carther here having a good run in the 213, the old Ridmaster. They're they've been around for a long time. I don't know how many thousand Ridmasters will be across the country in sheds and so forth, but it's great to see Dougie out there and Sydney Ball in the navigator's seat. They should be the next vehicle across the line, hopefully. We just saw them head back towards the north of the circuit, so we'll keep an eye on those guys. Here's Dougie and Sydney Ball here, the first cars to the circuit. I believe they rocked in on Wednesday and helped Ian do all the track marking. So as I said, great to see Dougie out there having some fun, enjoying the sport of off-road racing. They're great competitors across the South Oz circuit with the Loveday 4x4 park sticker blasted across the top of that Ridmaster. So Doug is in the house there. We'll get a time for those guys.
Yes, won't be too far away, and offroadracing.com.au.
The best in the business for the timing and so forth across Australia, and Dougie goes 22nd quickest with a 14:10.
He'll be pretty happy with that.
Not a bad run for Dougie there in the little Ridmaster. So we're still waiting Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst in the little Cobra, Ron Island and Debbie Island. Shouldn't be too far away in the Polaris, and then Taya Peak and Grant Winter in the 620 Can-Am X3 machine. So still a few vehicles circulating on the opening section, but the opening lap is all honours to Andrew and Tegan Moles, our Northern Territory entrants. It's great to see Molesy first run out there with the new car set.
just seeing if that should be working 1, 2. I'm working right. You on there? Yeah, you're on there. Toby Cooper here, talking with us here at the. Have a bit of a listen on the line here, Toby. If you can tell people what's going on.
Yeah, so we're just about to kickstart our section 2 of the 2022 MiniPave 250. Of course, round 2 of the ToughAs Motorsport Australia South Australian Off-Road Racing Championship. Of course, the first round up there, beautiful Loveday. We're only a few minutes away, Lyndon, from going green for section 2. Our slower heat is off the line first, so we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the first of our cars. One of the local Port Augusta crews, Jamie and Naomi Parker, so all the best to those guys in the A26. We'll have 13 in this heat and 12 in heat number 2, which we'll see starting around an hour or so time. So I think we're live across Australia, across the globe on social media.
Yes, Big Bad BD for YouTube viewers, or Lyndon Wilson on Facebook. You should be seeing we're recording it here as well, so anything we miss out on here I'll be putting up on my Lyndon Wilson YouTube channel afterwards, after the event, so you can catch up with everything at home if it's something you've missed out on. You can listen to the fantastic commentary we've got here this weekend. Great pleasure to be talking with Toby Cooper here from Frogs Hollow TV. Shout out to old Wheelie, hope he's feeling better. How is Wheelie going these days, mate?
Wheelie's not too bad. He's had a few misadventures, you could say. He had a bit of a nasty fall off a Raptor quad bike, and but hopefully we'll see him back out on the race circuit very soon. He's maybe going to enter his local or other race in about a month's time. But Frogs Hollow TV, I haven't done another episode for a little time. But if you obviously if you love the sport and you want to keep up to date with all things off-road racing, especially in Australia, check out Frogs Hollow TV. It'll be coming live again hopefully this week once I get back in northern New South Wales. So here we are on the starting grid, and we only reckon around 3 or 4 minutes away from the close of the course, Murray Rogers, from getting us underway for the second section, heat 1 of the ToughAs MiniPave 250. Once again, a massive shout out to the Barclay family, Ian and Brenda, for hosting this event the first time as promoters. We'll see one of our Port Augusta based crews, Jamie Parker and Naomi Parker, will be first to lead the line. Currently in 13th position outright with a 12.54 to start their opening section. Of course, this is cars 13 from section 1 now to 25th. Of course, personals like the body and Brent Gavalletta Jimco will make the green light here this afternoon. So we'll have 25 starters for section 2, 6 laps for this pretty cool circuit here at Port Germain. I know it's around the 10th or 11th year the off-road machines have been here on the Barclay property. So it's great to see the Brendan, Jamie and Naomi Parker 826 Patrol roll up to the grid. I know he used to run this as a Class 7 of production four-wheel drive, and he's now wicked it up to extreme four-wheel drive, and he's a hard charger, flat broke racing, as you see just across the front of the Patrol bonnet there. So keep an eye on these guys. They'll be our first car out for heat 2. 6 long laps, Lyndon. It's going to be a tough work out there, but all the best to all competitors as they commence their section 2.
Oh, it's going to be pretty huge there, Toby, and sorry to everybody offline there. Toby Cooper's microphone ran out there, but we've got that back online so everyone can hear his magnificent voice there out around the channels. Been progressively putting more and more equipment to get the quality higher and higher. We've gone out live again for the second time there for the ToughAs MiniPave 250. Thanks to the Barclay family, Port Germain, and yes, the team of 826 there, the Parkers, brother and sister, and as I mentioned earlier, maybe you might not have heard us, that Jamie this is his 3rd differential in about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, so he's had his pre-race dramas, you could say, but it's better to find them before the start of the race day. I was talking to him on Thursday as I drove into the complex, and he was pretty happy with things, and obviously only just up the road at Port Augusta, but he had, as I said, he had 8th outright here at the Filmer Delivery 200 in October of last season, first in class. He was also 10th outright here back in 2014. So Jamie Parker knows the terrain pretty well, Lyndon, and hopefully these guys have a good run here in the patrol.
Yeah, the extreme four-wheel drive. I'd like to thank MiniPave, Concreting, MiniPave Bitumen, Century, UASA, Port Augusta. And this has got a V8, 5.7 litre LS motor. Absolute weapon, and yeah, he knows how to drive this.
One pace only. It's pretty cool to see his sister, obviously a bit of trust in the brother Jamie there, so that's another. You do see a fair bit of that now. Obviously our Australian Championship leaders are brother and sister, Jake and Kate Swinglehurst. We'll see them at Rainbow next weekend. Nearly under starters orders for Murray Rogers, so we shouldn't be too far away. I believe we're nearly on the light. So the first car, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the hill, get up and ready to cheer, because our first car for Section 2 is about to commence here, Lyndon. It's getting exciting. This is the first heat of 6 laps this afternoon, so all cars will do 6 laps before tomorrow's 5-lap section. So all the best to Jamie and Naomi Parker here in the patrol. And only 30-second intervals too, Lyndon, which is really cool. I like this part of the event. Obviously get as many cars out there as possible.
Yep, Tom Hicks with Lockie Rockford alongside. I'd like to thank SBH Engineering for the Can-Am Maverick work there. Fantastic machines, these Can-Am Mavericks. You can see it's found all the mud out there today.
Yeah, so obviously the younger brother of Nick Hicks will see later on. So the first of our side-by-side turbo machines off and running. They were 9th in class at the recent Loveday 400, so they're genuine contenders for the ToughAs Motorsport Australia South Australia title this weekend. But first, to get that, they need to complete the 6 laps here this afternoon. Now the 111 Lyndon is on the line. Another one of our relatively newcomers, Stephen Brown, Bradley Cheer and Naomi Brown in the Chenworth.
Yeah, they'd like to thank Barossa Tilt Trays, Barossa Mini Cranes, Adelaide Aluminium Installations. This is a Chenworth DR2.
So those guys currently in 15th position, but I expect once Stephen gets used to the terrain and gets his way around the opening laps, I expect him to really work his way. And have a look at that. I went up that back straight yesterday and there was some serious mud, but look at the dust now down the Port Germain circuit.
Now starting off at 6:23 of Jeff Brennan. I'd like to thank Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park, Ronco Motors, Sean's Mobile Mechanics and Manum Auto Parts.
So that was the next of our side-by-sides away. So all the best to Jeff Brennan and Brett Beattie there. And now another one of our side-by-sides, a 668 of Ben McNamara and John Van der Land rolls up to the line in a 668 machine.
Yeah, they'd like to thank Tumby Sand Mine, Jamaica Feedlot, Nutrien and Lincoln Meats and CNC Earthworks.
So they were currently in 17th outright, heading into the second section here this afternoon, and the Gavin Chant and the Budgie Langford rolling up to the line in the Summit Racing Sportslight Southern Cross machine. So all the best to Gavin Chant.
Glass is their major sponsor, of course, there, but of course Ian Budgie Langsford, world's greatest navigator, here again here today. He's pointing the way.
He's straight into the signals there, the Budgie. So all the best to those guys heading off for the first of their 6 laps here this afternoon. Of course, the last outing was up in Alice Springs for the 12 hours. And now on the line is another one of our season campaigners, Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst in the 256 Cobra 100 machine. So it's great to see those guys sitting around that 18th, 19th position heading into the section 2.
Yes, thanks to ToughAs Products. Mark Taylor is away in Boomer the buggy. What's your girlfriend's name? Kaylee, if you're listening out there in Wirialda land, yes, Toby batteries ran out on his microphone, so I'm glad to hear that you can hear him clearly again. Thanks very much for lending him to us this weekend. Good on you, Kaylee. Hope you're enjoying it.
So the 621 of Jody Veron, Simon Herman and Garrett Wakefield off the line. The 621, the first of our female competitors here in the driver's seat. So great to see her take over the Loveday Off-Road Adventure Park machine this weekend. So keep an eye on Jody.
You'd like to thank Light Force, Loveday 4x4 Park, Off-Roading Online and ARB for the support there. Next is the Vanstones in the 253 Volkswagen Ridge Racing Frame Joker Machine. This one is out to chase Mark Taylor. So these two having another ding-dong battle.
There was only a few minutes between Wanaka the last round, so
That's right.
I'm sure Hayden and Neil want to get right up behind the Cobra of Mark Taylor. So now on the line is the soul of our production four-wheel drive competitors here, the Heath and Michelle Whedon entry. Beautifully presented patrol. Saw these guys race up at Hillston, which is the second round of the ARB Australian Championship back early July, and they broke a diff there. So hopefully these guys can circulate nicely here. The Whedon Springs Boarding Kennel, Mickey Thompson sponsored patrol.
Doug and Cindy Carthew and the Loveday 4x4 Adventure Rivmaster off the start line there. Now we've got the 6614. This is Ron and Debbie Island, father and daughter. They'd like to thank Scoot Around Polaris, which my brother drove past the other day and said, hang on, I've been driving past it for weeks, and I just realised that's Ron Island sponsored, Scoot Around. It's a Polaris RZR XP1000, naturally aspirated machine.
So great to see Ron and Debbie Island away there, as you just said, in the 6614. And now I believe our final car to start Heat 1, Section 2. Taya Peak, Grant winner and Sam winner here on another one of our Can-Am X3, the 620, and the second of our female competitors here this weekend. So all the best to Taya Peak. As I said, falling in her first competitive drive here in the team's Can-Am. So there we go, Lyndon, our first 13 vehicles on the circuit for Heat 1. So the excitement builds. The first vehicle shouldn't be too far away. Obviously we can see the vehicles in front of us here as we stand back towards the east, but it is really hard to gauge as to who they are. But we'll get some more info to you guys as we can get. We need some binoculars in here.
I've got some. Spread them out to you. What you want? Rub that around your neck there. Just adjust it there, and that little thing in the middle for focus. We don't have to do much. Take the log dime off.
Eyesight's not good enough for that, I think.
It is hard.
So just another shout out as we await our first vehicle to come back into the complex here, the MiniPave bitumen. Of course, Ian and Brenda Barkler for having us here on their land, the ToughAs for the championship sponsor, and of course the MiniPave 250 partnered event as well. Perry's Fuel, David Kent Buses, Stories of the Road Museum, LM Diesel, LSR Solutions, Wendy Bookkeeping and Tax Accounting, Adrian Gardner Electrical, and Samfire Creations for their support of the event here for 2022. So it looks like Ian, our first vehicle is still moving nicely. Just a shout out down there to Toby Waitley, who we see standing on the fence. Of course, unfortunately for Toby Waitley fans, he had a few engine dramas across the season, but he'll be back bigger and better, I'm sure, in 2023, maybe later in the season. But he is one of the entertainers of the Australian off-road circuit. But he is Mr. Jamie Parker. And Naomi Parker, the patrol, looks like it is moving and working very nicely across the visions here in front of the spectator complex. He'll head back towards the north and we'll see him come through. So Parker's still the leading car for heat number 1.
Yeah, for some reason the Axoon's off, mate. Can you just see if that's on, please? Yeah, just finish that job. Thank you. Goodness gracious me.
So we see the first of our vehicles now heading back into the arena here. It is the Jamie Parker entry, and he's really dialed up the patrol here. So he'll head back towards the final jump here in front of the pit area. So keep an eye on Jamie Parker in the 826, moving nicely.
You're off here.
It goes on for about a couple of minutes, then turns off, so I'm trying to stall it out.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll try to get some times for Jamie and Naomi Parky Linden. So they swing it around for the first lap on the board for Jamie Parker. We see the next of our vehicles. It will be the Tom Hicks and Lockie Rockford entry in the 6141, now heading back towards us here in the pit complex. So they'll swing it towards a lap on the board here. So we'll try to get some times as they come to hand. And Jamie Parker goes with a 12:37. So a nice solid lap there for the Nissan Patrol competitors. We'll keep an eye on young Tom Hicks, Lockie Rockford.
Having all sorts of electrical dramas here at the moment. We're going live, we're not going out live. Not entirely sure what's we should be back on live there now. We've only got one of our 3 cameras working. We've had electrical gremlins we can't explain. So triple one comes through, so apologies everybody.
Want to have a little bit of a rollover down the end there from the Tom and Hicks and Lockie Rockford entry. So it just looks like we've got a few of our recovery guys there needing some assistance. So we'll try to get some word out there for a recovery vehicle.
So we've got our officials on track. No one's hurt, but it has blocked the track. So we've got a whole lot of people out there that shouldn't be. If you are not an official, please leave the circuit. We've got a lot of very good officials that are trained for this eventuation. There is no real drama. Thank you very much. But if you could all jump off the track ASAP before our event director gets it there. Thank you once again. Always some of this drama. Action.
Block the track completely, I think.
These batteries failing on his, he can't work out what's going on with his either. We've got the GoPro that's just completely, oh there it goes, it's back on. GoPro's good now actually. I rebooted here.
happening?
Yeah, a bit of drama here for everyone at home. That's why our competitors are being held up here. The car that has tipped over is perfectly fine. Just going back to the pits to check over the Hicks machine. Never a good thing putting a car on its roof. But the safety gear that we have here is just absolutely first class. There's other people that look after this event.
And obviously,
so everybody's all right.
Obviously, for everyone that has obviously stopped here when the track was blocked, they'll get their time back, I'm sure. So that's the protocol. Is re-entered the pit area after lap 1, so that'll put them out of outright contention.
Yes, our officials there will adjust the times suitably to the cars that lent assistance. Great amount of mucking around as the 253 Hayden Vanstone comes through. Volkswagen.
So we'll see what sort of time Hayden Vanstone sets. Mark Taylor went with a 13:11. And Hayden Vanstone goes with a 13:34. So Mark Taylor in that 20 odd seconds quicker on the opening lap. We see the Whedon Patrol coming back towards us here. That's Heath and Michelle in the Nissan Patrol. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. So Heath and Michelle Whedon with the 7.79, they go 13:44 in 10th position. So Dougie Carthew now coming through in the 213. Ron Island and Taya Peak are still circulating on their opening lap. We see Ron Island. Good to see old Dougie working his way through there in the old Rivmaster Linden, one of the legends of the South Australian circuit.
Oh, Party Central.
So Dougie Carthew goes through with a 13:36 to be 10th quickest for the opening lap. Just pips off there Heath and Michelle Whedon. So Ronnie Island and Taya Peak still our opening, last two cars to finish our opening lap of Heat 1 of Section 2. So we shouldn't be too far away from getting our vision of the Parker Patrol. Of course, our lead car here for Saturday afternoon in the Section 2 Heat 1. So we'll see in the distance the Patrol working their way along the back fence, the back straight as they like to call it. There's a couple of unique parts of the circuit. I believe there's a mushroom corner out there and a few little cool parts. I know Ian Barker's put in a little tree section, a little tighter part of the track there around the 3-4 kilometre mark, just heading up into the quarry section. So that'll be an interesting little part, new part of the track here for all competitors here at Port Germain.
Well, people at home there, if you haven't heard the other commentator, that's because he's been pulling his hair out, trying to get all the cameras to work here today. As soon as it gets a little bit hot, batteries get hot. A lot of our guys, our equipment's out in the sun, so apologies. And if you're not hearing both of us, it's because we've been changing batteries on our wireless lavalier microphones here. But we are quite literally bringing you footage from the heart of the country here near Port Germain, Samphire Road. If you want to come up for a drive tomorrow, there'll be a great opportunity for racing and great weather if you're struggling to see us there. But apologies to everybody that's enjoying the live stream at home. But you know, Toby's Cooper's getting a bit of an idea of how much mucking around that goes on to bring this live transmission to everyone. So thank you very much for all of your patience. We appreciate it.
We see Ron and Debbie Island there. Lyndon go through in the scoot around Polaris RZR with a 14.42, so 12th quickest for the opening lap. ToughAs Peak and Grant Winner should be the next side by side through, and then we shouldn't be too far away, and it looks like it is the patrol over the distance there of Jamie and Naomi Parker, going very nicely there in the 8.26. I'll keep an eye on our lead car.
If you hear us whispering there, it's just you can hear us through both mics. They're that good, these lavalier microphones. We're trying to keep the sun off of all the equipment here. One of the biggest scourges is heat. We've got a few fans there, but apologies, we're dropping in and out too because this is all off of the satellites, and we swap satellites quite regularly being where we are. But thanks to Starlink all the same, we're getting this out reliably and in a way that we can see. This vision looks pretty clear. I've had a lot of reports, and thank you to everyone watching at home for all the positive feedback. We do everything we can, and that's so happy to have Toby Cooper here to take the bulk of commentary this weekend as we're watching Andy, because we're getting a hell of a show. Look at this. Look at Jamie Parker coming, mate.
He's putting on a clinic, isn't he? They said he'd go very hard from the outset. He wants a big finish. He wants that top 5, top 6 finish. I know he's got the only class, himself representative in the Extreme 4 drive this weekend. But it's great to see Jamie and Naomi Parker. They lead the way on the track and also on the times here in the opening heat of Section 2. We just saw ToughAs Peak cross in the 6:20 Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park Ronco Motors sponsored Can-Am with a 16:52. So about 2.5 minutes quicker than our opening lap. So that's good for ToughAs Peak there.
Yes, how is the ToughAs Peak versus Jodie Vernon challenge?
So Jodie Vernon there with a couple of minutes over. She did 13:13 and ToughAs Peak with a 16:50. So Jodie has got the upper hand there in the female rivalry there. We have a look to our north, and we shouldn't be too far away from seeing Jamie Parker launch it down towards the pit complex area here, and we'll see him come through. Obviously the lead car is on lap 2, and then Lyndon we get through these competitors, and then we'll see our first heat of cars, our 12 quickest from the opening section, led off by Andrew and Tegan Moles. So they'll be around an hour or so's time till getting underway. But now it's Jamie and Naomi Parker launching back towards us here on a mission in the Nissan LS1 V8 powered machine from Port Augusta. So if you're on the hill and you're from Port Augusta, here is one of your men in contention. So he'll swing around a big left-hand berm and he'll send it for lap 2 on the board. So he's running strongly here, Jamie Parker. Of course, with the withdrawal of Tom Hicks and Lockie Rockford, who was the second car on the road, he shouldn't have any dramas with someone coming up behind him. Stephen Brown and Jeff Brennan, and Jamie Parker goes quickest with a 12:24. So around 13 seconds quicker than his opening lap. So he is a man on a mission, Jamie Parker, here this afternoon.
Yeah, a bit between the teeth. Always been fast out here. Pushes the Class 8 beyond what most people would think would be safe levels of usage of parts. And definitely, I've seen him do a diff here before, and he's not shy in giving it its all, and that's what we like to see. It's great entertainment. Looks really good out there, and brother and sister putting in some good sibling time there, isn't it?
I know he has a good, strong relationship with the event promoter and property owner Ian Barkley. I know they're long-time mates and they help each other out. I believe the diff in Jamie's car is actually out of Ian's patrol, and he done later in this week. And as you mentioned, so yeah, it's great to see. I'm sure Ian will be pretty chuffed to see his man out there leading the way here in the opening heat of Section 2.
Yes, offroadracing.com.au, and go onto their main page and you can press on the link to see all of the live times that we're enjoying up here. Thanks to all our volunteer officials, our Act Fast ambulance people here again. Great support for all of our off-road races as well as spectators. So if you've got anything wrong, something goes wrong, come over here. Act Fast people will be helping you out. We like to see them have bored looks on their faces, but again, thanks to Act Fast for being here every race meeting. Great to see. They come up based at Victor Harbour, so they've got a big drive to get here.
Yeah, that's one thing there is a lot of in Australian off-road race. You do have to do the kilometres, the miles to get to the events. We are a huge country, so it's great to see, obviously, just within South Australia. Talking to Simon Tucker last night, and he's still 450, 500 kilometres away, and he just lives basically over the coastline, so on the other side, the western side of the Great Australian Bight. So now we'll keep an eye on our next vehicle through. I expect it to be the Chenworth of Stephen Brown and Naomi Brown, Brad Cheer there in the 111. Jeff Brennan shouldn't be too far away. Ben McNamara, the Gavin Chant, and the world's best navigator there shouldn't be too far away also. So we'll keep an eye. It does look like it's the Southern Cross of Gavin Chant there and to our left as we stand, and the McNamara. So there's a bit going on here, and this is what you really enjoy about these longer sort of lap heats. You really do see the action, and you see a lot of wheel-to-wheel action. That's the 6:23. It looks like it might be the Jeff Brennan entry there, Lyndon. So it looks like he's got past the Chenworth of Stephen Brown. So and there is the Stephen Brown entry. So the big mover here is Jeff Brennan and Brett Beattie in the 6:23. They go through, so we'll get a lap time for those guys.
Pretty quick.
So Jeff Brennan moves into second position for the heat with a 13:52.
And they've missed the corner, Toby. Can't see in the dust from the commentary, but camera, Big Bad BD, camera 2, or camera B, because Action Adam, camera A, Big Bad BD, camera B.
That was the Chenworth of Steve Brown and Naomi Brown, Brad Cheer, the 111 machine that's actually missed the corner. So he went with a 14:32, so a couple of minutes off the pace of his opening lap. So we'll keep an eye on Stephen Brown. He did lose a bit of time there, but still running third in the heat as we stand here. Ben McNamara now, Lyndon goes up into P3 for the heat with a 13:41. And the Gavin Chant and Langford, I expect them to be the big movers here. That looked like it was a fast time. There you go, Gavin Chant and Ian Langford goes second quickest for the heat after 2 laps.
Wow.
With a 13:33. So the big mover there is Gavin Chant.
Well, that's quite obviously because the navigator can see through the dust. He's the 2IC basically to Ian Barclay.
Yep. And there we go again, Lyndon. So Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst in the little Cobra Mazda 1600 machine. They go second quickest with a 13:15. So there's some big movers and shakers here. This is, of course, just provisional times for this heat, 2 laps down on the books. So Jamie Parker still leads us on the lead lap with a 25:01 so far allotted time. But it is Mark Taylor, Gavin Chant, Jeff Brennan, Ben McNamara and Stephen Brown. And there we go again, Jodie Veron there in the 6:21. Simon Herman in the navigator's seat. She goes second quickest with a 12:53. So Jodie's making a big move. I'm sure Tony will be very, very happy down there on the pit fence.
Oh, definitely some excitement in the spectator area there, of course. You know, just the reality of why Ian Budgie Langsford is the world's greatest navigator is, you know, showing the right way to go there for Gavin Chant. But you just have a look at the corrected times on here, and you have a look at who's now in second there, the 6:21. Wow. Jodie Vernon will be very happy in the Can-Am SBH Engineering Light Force Loveday Adventure Park Off-Roading Online ARB Can-Am Maverick X3. And here comes the Class 1650 battle competitors here.
Vanstone 5351 Motorsport. They cross there in the 253. And there is a race frame, a Joker, as you said, the Volkswagen, the Super 1650. So we'll try to get a time for those guys as it comes through.
Yeah, big battle between Mark Taylor and the brothers Vanstone. They both got one race victory each. And last time Wanaka was the home track, more or less, for Mark Taylor, and that was Hayden Vantone's explanation. And it's on again here today. These guys just really don't knock into each other. There's no nastiness there. It is absolute bucket loads of fun for these guys, and they'll race nose to tail if you give them a chance, and they'll keep doing that all day long.
So we just saw the Vanstone brothers there, Lyndon Hayden and Neil, in the 253, the last card across. They go 13.34 for lap 2 and slip there into position 7. So they're around 35 seconds behind the pace of Mark Taylor. So Taylor has the upper hand after 2 laps. And here is the third and final of our Super 1650 competitors, Dougie Carthew here in the 213, the old Rivmaster frame machine. Great to see those guys. Cindy Ball, his partner, in the navigator seat. So we'll see what time Dougie Carthew sets there.
Yeah, Cindy's a great driver in her own right. If you get onto my YouTube page, you can see her smiling at the presentations for the ladies and juniors race here that was run last year. So she didn't want to a few years ago. She didn't have a good run. And then Simon down at SBH Engineering and a few other sponsors associated with Doug Carthew got together and fixed the car and put some reliability into the vehicle, and been going great guns ever since. Yeah, here comes the 779. Heath Whedon and Michelle Whedon. Innocent Patrol, the GT Stump Pulling, Whedon Springs, Boarding Kennel, Mickey Thompson Tyres Patrol. Getting up pretty good pace here. Now, unfortunately, Tom Hicks in the 6141 Sportslight machine has pulled over after their rollover, and hopefully they'll be able to fix the car. They're pretty tough machines, these Can-Ams. You really have to do something seriously wrong to damage them. Absolutely phenomenal. And here comes our Polaris racer. Thanks to them. That's Ron Island. And they were getting really, every time he's coming out, he's getting faster and more used to this machine. The scooter round Polaris, it's an ZR XP 1000 with a Pro Star 1000cc motor, as they call it.
And they're in there in 10th quickest, Lyndon, with a 14.19, as you said, knocked about 25 seconds off his opening lap here for heat number 1. But it is still Jamie Parker leading the way here for the heat on the road and on the timesheets. Jody Veron there sitting nicely in second, the big mover of the day in the Loveday 4x4 Park Motorsport Can-Am. So it's great to see Jody having a nice run, and as we said, only a second race here this weekend after Wanaka only a few weeks ago. So the sole representative of the Loveday team and doing the team proudly.
I reckon it's a lot to do with her daughter Sophie. She is the rally car instructor up there at Loveday 4x4 Park. So if you want to let your kids go for a drive, I think it's about 10 years and up, somewhere around that. And yes, you can earn a rally licence, and it's all in a safe car, safe environment with top class instructors, of course, Sophie, and there's a whole heap of other people to jump in there and instruct your kids, but you can have a video of them and get to do some drifting and in a safe, legal way. You're not out on the roads with these new hoon laws that they're introduced here in South Australia that you can lose your licence instantly. More motivation to become involved with motorsport. and we'd love to see you part of off-road racing. So any information that you need to acquire will be found on offroadracing.com.au, or alternatively Motorsport Australia, their website. So you can navigate your way through that. You'll find a whole heap of information of how to get yourself into motorsport. You know, a lot of people are born into it. A lot of people just have that itch for a taste of adrenaline.
And once you're in, it is very hard to get back out, that is for sure. I was talking to Adam Burrell there before the other night, and he said, oh, I sort of half was attempted to get back out, but then he went away to think this year, and he felt told to near his partner, he said, there's no chance in hell that I'm getting out of the sport of off-road racing. So Jamie and Naomi Parker, as we said, the brother and sister combination here in the MiniPave Century USA Port Augusta Nissan LS1 V8 powered Patrol, working themselves nicely here into the final corner. You'll head towards what's been a challenging corner down here, Lyndon, our first corner. We've had a few competitors come unstuck early on, so the Parkers through nicely. That's 3 laps on the board from them, so that's basically the halfway mark of their heat.
Yeah, definitely. You can hear the difference in the car's note as they go past it. That's because it's MiniPave bitumen right in front of us here. So instant 100% traction for these big off-road tyres. And that's why they sound a little bit weird as they go past, but just to keep the dust down in the pit area, and thanks to the Barclays, it's doing a great job.
Yeah, it's great to see so many people up on the spectator mount. Of course, this is Ian's backyard, the Spencer Golf Club. I know the Gawler Roads nightclub have also held some events here over the years, and
Segura, Spencer Golf as well.
So it's a great place to let loose, as they say, and obviously Ian's a big supporter of the sport, so happy to make that all happen. Taya Peak, still, we haven't seen her come through on her lap. That might be the 620 over there, so she's still on her second lap. Tom Hicks, it doesn't look like he'll be returning to the circuit, so we have had our first car through, the 826 of Jamie and Naomi Parker. This is currently on their 4th lap. So the excitement builds, Lyndon, to our quickest 12 cars from the opening section getting their heat underway. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. They won't be too far away from getting ready. Of course, Molesy will be the first one off, and we've got some serious South Australian talent behind us. So it's basically Northern Territory versus the rest here with Andrew Antigua Moles, which is pretty cool. Matty Curtis, Simon Tucker, Adam Burrell, Hamish Lockett, Andy Maxwell, Nick Hicks, Brendan Johns, Travis Snow, Blake Ridley, Cy Heaslip and Michael Shipton will be the 12 cars that will take to heat number 2, Lyndon. There's plenty to play out here this afternoon. One thing we do know in off-road racing, Lyndon, is you can't win the race today, but you can certainly dink your chances of that.
Certainly lose it, definitely. It doesn't take very much at all. Some people can't even get their cars off the trailers sometimes. There's lots of gremlins along the access roads too here. You know, if you think about it, a lot of people we see tying their cars down, but the suspension still moves. So every kilometre your car does off of the track, the suspension does as well. So there's a lot of little issues. Back in the day, there was quite a few problems with carburetted cars, with having the floats move under vibration being transported. I know a lot of speedway guys would take their whole carburetors off, put them into a Pelican case, foam-filled case, to protect them on the drive there and home. So lots of different thoughts of how to keep your car fresh for the race.
So it looks like the 620 of Taya Peak and Grant winner Sam Winter going through in the 620, so nice to see those guys having some fun out there. Taya's first run, she goes 17.28 to go 12th quickest for the heat. And here is our second vehicle on the road, so they'll just be crossing on their lead lap. The 623 of Jeff Brennan and Brett Betty. I believe Jeff's another newcomer to the sport of off-road racing, hasn't been around for that long, so great to see Jeff out there having some fun. And he goes with a 12.36, so by far just behind, his quickest lap of the heat so far. So
yeah, another person getting a chance to safely learn the sport out at Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park. There's plenty of off-road rush venues that will give you the sort of instruction as well, but genuinely so many people coming into the sport from the Waitley's enthusiasm for side-by-sides. Of course, the first racing Can-Am was out at Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park, so very experienced and great way to learn the sport there for a lot of people.
So we see Gavin Chant bringing the little Honda 2.4 litre powered Southern Cross Mark IV across the line at 10:35. We saw the 111 off Stephen and Naomi Brown also across with a 13-minute lap. And look at that, Gavin Chant with a really quick time with a 12:29. So he's wiped around there 30 seconds off his opening lap there, Gavin Chant. So they are having a red hot crack out here. I'm looking forward to seeing the time also there of Ben McNamara and John Vandy Lands. He goes through in the 668 Lennon with a 12:52. So you really see the times are getting quicker for these competitors. The only one through so far that hasn't quickened his time from the opening couple of laps is the leaders, Jamie Parker.
Yeah, well, of course, a lot of these times, if you have a look at offroadracing.com.au, you will see some bracketed information there saying pending. And this is, of course, the officials need to properly review to give corrected time when a car stops to lend assistance in an accident. So stay tuned. Most of the information we have is provisional.
And we just saw the one of your favourites, Linda, the little Cobra Mazda powered Super 1650 with Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst go through. They go fourth quickest at the moment with a 12:57. And the next one through is Jody Baron. So we'll get a time for Jody. Simon Herman. We see Simon stepped in with Jody this weekend. So he's ditched Toby in the truck and hopped in with Jody. So great to see there. They're a great team. And Jody goes with a 13:18. So around that 20 seconds off her second lap, but she still finds herself fifth quickest for the heat. So great work there from Jody and Simon in the 6:21 Can-Am.
Yes, definitely experienced. Don't forget, look it up. We had Loveday 4x4 Park. So I was mentioning before there, Tony and Toby with their results in the Can-Am have definitely put that vehicle on the map here in Australia, and all the side-by-sides. The competition at Loveday between the Polaris and the Yamahas and all of the other guys there was just spectacular. To have Phil Lovett over in his super machine side-by-side with an ex-motorbike racer, and a lot of guys that race motorbikes feel comfortable. You look up with the Can-Am, it's not driver Can-Am, it's rider Can-Am. So lots of great jobs, and yes, Jeff Brennan, a great example. At every race you can get to, easy to fix the car and maintain it. Not a lot of problems in getting the parts you want. And have a look, scooting past us there. Woo.
I reckon that might even be a driver change there, Lynn. We saw as the Van Stones go through in the 253, I reckon it looked like it might even be in the tall man of Grant Winter hop in the seat of the 620. I saw him duck into the pit area. And it definitely looked like that there might have been a driver change there, so we'll keep an eye on that. That is the 620, but they're out on their third lap. The Van Stones, another crew to go with their quickest lap of the heat with a 13:15, so they find themselves in 8th position for the heat. So they'll be pretty happy with that, Lyndon. They've obviously still got a bit of work to do to catch up with the Taylor and Hurst combination, but the Van Stones are off and running on their lead lap here, lap 4.
Yeah, 4 cars waiting for their times to be adjusted, which will affect the results here. So offroadracing.com.au for the ToughAs MiniPave 250 results. Press on their live page and you'll be able to read all the information that Toby and I are enjoying here to bring you live vision around the planet. As you can see, the dust is starting to pick up a little bit more here. Thankfully there's enough of a breeze to blow it away from spectators as well as competitors. But looking in front of us here, if you go onto Google Earth, look up Samphire Road, you'll be able to see pretty good Google Earth photos of the racetrack and facilities here. Absolutely first class. As I said, you know, off-roaders and recyclers are definitely using second-hand parts out of various cars to make them machines, and the other side, a lot of ingenuity, a lot of good invention comes out of off-road racing. And you know, how many people would think, you know, ARB, biggest name in four-wheel drive accessories on the planet, one of the major series sponsors here for the Sayora Series, as well as a lot of races around Australia. You won't find many four-wheel drivers that don't know ARB, and that started from off-road racing. Absolutely fantastic. Another great story. Albums, gearboxes, same sort of story. The brothers Charlie and Ivan.
Have a look at the speed limit of young Dougie Carter as he launches the little Ribmaster off the line here. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. Sydney Ball in the navigator's seat there. They just love the sport of off-road racing. He's chucking it in there sideways, Dougie, and he's been here for a while, and some might say he has the track knowledge, but I can tell you by the reports, I don't think he had any chance to do some testing out there this week. It was quite damp in places, but he's back out there and he's got 3 laps on the board, so we'll get a time for Dougie there in the 2:13. He goes with a 14:10, so sits ninth position in the heat so far.
Yeah, of course the track changes every lap, the grooves and slightly, so you know, if you're a pace note or an ex-rally navigator or something, you'll find it's very difficult to pace note exactly this course because it just changes so quickly, and that's the excitement, because one lap is completely different to the next. As the Whedon machine gets stuck on the corner there. Seen that before there, Toby. Go a little bit high on this berm here. We saw the 213 of Dougie Carthew really pushing the edge of that berm. Maybe he made it a bit soft, and hence what I'm saying, if you were used to that track from the last lap, all of a sudden that grip's not there anymore. That corner's gone. What's going on?
Yeah, the track conditions certainly do change, and it's a circuit like this where obviously the berms are a big factor, and yeah, things will change, especially as the quicker cars get out on the circuit. So we're still awaiting the time of Heath Whedon, and there you go. So he goes 13:32, so you can really see the track conditions are really improving out there. Obviously, yeah, there's probably no water in sight now. We see our first car, Lyndon, with the Parker Patrol working his way nicely back towards us here as we sit at the beautiful, it's a as I said before, the landscape's quite surreal to be able to sit here, and the flat ground, as you said, you can see the sort of the ocean over in the background. It is really quite a quite cool layout here, and Ian Barker must be very proud of what he and the clubs have created here, and I'm sure it was a dream of his many years ago to own his off-road circuit, and here we are in 2022, the inaugural ToughAs MiniPave 250, and this time tomorrow we'll have our inaugural champion, and it's pretty exciting. And the 6614 of Ron and Debbie Island working their way nicely through there, Lyndon, so they're still going nice in their Polaris.
Yeah, these Ron's very experienced man. He got a Southern Cross Mark III, and a lot of the old accessories you could buy for these cars, you used to have a Formuling 500 steering wheel, and they were foam over steel and quite spongy, and it's a good idea because you do have a lot of stress holding onto a hard surface, so the soft steering wheel was nice, but you went and had a look at Ron Island's Class 3 and it was squashed to the absolute metal base. He really got his money's worth, in other words, out of his race car, and that's what he's aiming to do here with the Polaris so far, and he's having a great run.
And talking about having a great run here on Saturday afternoon as we approach 2:30 local time, and it is the 8:26 patrol of Jamie and Naomi Parker. Of course, our first car away, they're currently leading the heat, of course proudly sponsored by MiniPave and Century Yaz at Port Augusta. So they go through with a 12:18, so that is by far the quickest lap time of this heat, so leading the way, and they commence their 5th of 6 competitive laps here this afternoon, and of course that will be the end of their action for the weekend. Gavin Chant and Ian the Budgie Langford currently second on the times, Jeff Brennan, but as we mentioned there's a few cars that had to stop for the Tom Hicks rollover there on the second lap, so we'll get some adjusted times through there probably at the end of the day, so we'll stay tuned for those. But at the moment it is Jamie Parker and Naomi Parker who definitely didn't need to stop because they were well in advancement of that little accident, but we'll keep an eye on the next vehicle through.
It gives them pretty clear air to deal with in regards to that. You know, it can be a little bit confusing because not everybody has pit to race car communications, so the navigator will be sort of scratching her head going, we were only a little ahead of that car, but now they're miles away with a crisscrossing and lots of U-turns you can see across the racetrack to give you an idea of where your opposition or the other car that you're chasing is. So it can cause a little bit of confusion, but Jamie seems to have his head screwed on right, and he's just got the pedal to the metal, and he is flying, and he'll be big smile on his face after the amount of effort. If you go have a look at his Facebook page, you'll see the amount of problems he's had recently and frustrating. So good on you, Jamie. This is what you do. Determination is what you need in this sport, no doubt, and he's got plenty of it.
Lives and breathes it too, doesn't he? I mean, blokes like Jamie, who just, as you said, they basically evolve their whole life around. A lot of families do, a lot of race teams do, but a bloke like Jamie Parker, obviously he's got a supportive family, but he's got a couple of young children there. But it's great to see all things paying off here. But we won't put the commentator's curse on it, as you say. And this next one through, we shouldn't be too far away. I saw a couple of the buggies. It might have been the Gavin Chant and the Stephen Brown Chenworth entry head across back towards the north of the circuit. But yeah, you can really see the dust will start to play a big factor here later this afternoon. Of course, just a reminder that I believe 8:30 in the morning we'll be going green for the first of our heats for section 3. It'll be 5 20-kilometre circuits, so around lunchtime tomorrow, around that 11:30 local time, we'll declare an inaugural MiniPave 250 champion for 2022, and I'm sure, Linda, this is going to be an event that's going to continue to grow in the coming years. And that does look like it's a 111 Chenworth there of Steve Brown, Naomi Brown and Brad Cheer there going across in front of our vision. Or Gavin Chant really riding the berm over to our left.
Oh, he's missed the corner there,
some
but
marks lost there for the budgie, I think, and he has really lost some valuable seconds, but he's still moving, and he probably done well not to take out that camera who overruns that over there, one of ours, Lyndon. Or
yeah, that'll be big bad BDs. Anything that's got a weight hanging off of it, and that sort of scenario, that's big bad BD. We'll be going and gathering that. We'll be gathering them later on and back to our accommodation and downloading like crazy, because that's the type of action we like to see here.
So our second car is through, the Jeff Brennan Brett Beattie entry. As I said, relatively newcomers of the sport in the 623. Loveday 4x4 Park Ronco Motors, Sean's Mobile Mechanic and Menem Auto Parts Can-Am X3 Maverick. So he goes through, and we'll get a time for those guys. They go 12:26, so there you go, around 10 seconds quicker than his last lap. So you can really see the conditions are starting to come to the fore here for all competitors.
Yeah, learning the track. You can see the last berm here definitely creating a bit of a challenge for some of our wider tracked cars, and that's certainly the case with the Chenworth DR2. Beautiful looking car, really good. I think pretty much Shannon Wrench had one of these that really went hard a number of years ago. He won the Australian Championship, and but here comes the world's greatest navigator.
So the Gavin Chant Southern Cross Mark IV is through. We see Steve Brown went through the 12:32, so there you go again. Lyndon, we did say that the track would come to these competitors, and they go the third of our crews to beat their last lap time. Gavin Chant and Ian Langford, the last car through the 10:35 with a 12:31 on lap 4. Ben McNamara, another to top his quickest lap time of the heat in the Tumby Sand Mine, Jamalca Feedlot, Nutrien, Lincoln Meats, CNC, Earthworks, Can-Am Maverick X3. That's a 668, go through with a 12:39 to sit in 4th place. Of course, all provisional times with some allotted times to be received there for the stop. Mark Taylor, Jody Veron, Hayden Vanstone, Dougie Carthew, Heath Whedon and Ron Island, and I believe Grant Winter is behind the wheel there of the 620. So many more to come through to complete their 4th lap.
Here comes the 256, Mark Taylor. Boomer the buggy, the Mazda machine. Looking pretty dirty there. He's found every little drop of mud he could find out there earlier. Of course, these cars not only did one lap in front of us and for race conditions, they also had the opportunity of taking their race cars out for one lap observation, and I think that's where a lot of this dirt mud's come from.
So the Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst and the 256 go with their quickest lap time with a 12:56 on lap 4. So another 40 kilometres left for their competition today. The 6:21 of Jody Veron and Simon Herman doing the Loveday 4x4 Park Proud here, and we'll get a time for her in the 6:21 side-by-side Can-Am.
Yeah, looking fast and clean. Simon Herman, an expert navigator. He and Toby Waitley almost snatching outright victory in some Australian Championship reigns up Queensland way a few years ago, just to show how fast these side-by-sides have become now. awesome. You know, that was early days for the Can-Am X3.
Yeah, that was an extraordinary event. I was actually lucky enough to call that day back in 2018, and if it wasn't for the great Shannon and Ian Wrench, it would have been a ORC victory for a Can-Am there, and it was quite an extraordinary talking point. And Phil Lovett also ran third that day, so it was
Wow.
Can-Am 2 and 3. So Jodie Veron went through with a 13.04, so she still sits currently in 6th position, so they'll be happy with that for the heat. Yeah, it definitely looks like it is the Grant Winter in behind the wheel there now. They go through with a 16.33, so it'll be interesting to see. Keep an eye on this time for Grant Winter, Taya Peak and Sam Winter there in the 620 Can-Am. So they'll be our final car on the circuit. They're just commencing lap 4, obviously a lap down with their time in the pits there before. So our lead cars are currently on lap 5, Lyndon, so we shouldn't be too far away from seeing our first cars for Heat 2 rolling to the grid.
Yeah, I think Camera is trying his hardest to pick up, but he has found the Ritz Racing Frame Joker buggy belonging to Hayden and Neil Vanstone. They've got a whole heap of people they want to thank for getting them out here. Brosser Earthworks Chooks Custom Graphics. Collins Concreting. And Collins Concrete Pumping and Deck Pod. So a lot of people getting behind their Vanstone and Hayden's son there too, Sam. Haven't seen him out for a while. An identical looking car, but they choose Toyota power over the Volkswagen. So one of our cars stopped out there, Toby.
It looks like a side by side. It's hard to gauge your vision. I don't know if it's Jodie Veron or the Taya Peak Grant Winter entry, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Jodie Veron maybe. Toby Waitley's out.
Oh, Toby was enjoying the time away from the race car. What a drive there, you know. He's kicked Tony well and truly out of the trophy truck now. And I think he hides it at Loveday, so Tony can only deliver parts, takes the seat out of it, disconnects the start. I don't think it goes that far. But either way, I think Tony's very proud of his son Toby, and how quick and how fast he is growing as a driver here in the sport. Because, you know, if you have a look at the equipment, some of these larger teams, OBR, the wheels, it was definitely Toby Price. You have a look at the machinery that they're running, and then you have a look at the Rush truck / Loveday
4x4 park, yeah.
Yeah, it's you can see there's a big difference in the price for the parts that are running on this. So he really does pick that car up and put it on his back to get to the finish line.
He's making big waves, Lyndon, that's for sure. And he's definitely one to watch in the future. I know that once they get that engine sorted, put a dry sump in behind that Rush truck, he's going to be a man to be reckoned with. He already was this year. He was running 6th or 7th down there in the Fink, and I believe top speed around 155 k's an hour. The big guys are doing well over 180, 190 k's. So it does make a big difference. So the Vanstones went through there before, a couple of minutes ago now, with a 13.21, so they go 8th quickest. I just got a message from Toby Waitley. The 620 of Grant Winter is the Can-Am over to our right. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be Grant Winter, Taya Peak and Sam Winter's weekend here. They're 3 laps down, but hopefully they can get it back and sorted for tomorrow's action.
Yeah, here comes the weeding machine. Oh, no hesitation over the jump there. Looking fantastic. A little bit more conservative through the last corner this time.
So there is the Whedon entry, the 779, the Nissan Patrol, the sole representative in the production four-wheel drive class here this weekend. I said they entered the Millicent event down there, close one for those guys. Dougie Carthew comes through there, Sydney Bourne, the Navigator's seat, another one of our MiniPave representatives here. Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park also, P&D Insulation and Edge Auto Solutions in the Nissan 1600cc powered machine. So I'm sure Dougie will be very happy, Lyndon, where he sits at the moment, running 9th there in the standings for Heat 1 of Section 2 and Heath and Michelle Whedon sit in 10th position. So still waiting for Ron Island to finish his 4th lap, and then we should have all vehicles on the circuit on the lead lap. And on our lead lap, Lyndon, here to our right, we see the patrol of Jamie and Naomi Parker. And there's been their show and shine here this afternoon. They're putting in some serious laps, and what I'm looking forward to, Lyndon, is seeing what sort of times match up here for Jamie Parker. He might have started in 13th out right after the opening lap, but I expect him to really work his way up there into that top 10, top 8 competitors at the day's end. So we'll keep an eye on that. He's still got a lap and a bit to go here, Lyndon, and Jamie and Naomi Parker coming through for the second last time here on Saturday.
Yeah, doing a great job. This is the due reward for the amount of hours spent on the car. He's missing some part of his front guards now. I noticed the rear guards weren't there before. Now he's decided to drop a little bit more weight. Both left and right front guard gone. Not a lot of trees out there to rub up against. So maybe he's leaning it over so far into the booms that it's knocking it off. I don't know.
You don't know. That's the great part about off-road racing. We just don't. It's the unknown. And we see Ron and Debbie Island now working their way towards us. It looks like it's the little Polaris RZR there, the XP scoot-around machine, coming back towards us here to complete their 4th lap. And Jamie and Naomi Parker go with a 12.25. So around that 7 seconds off their quickest lap, but I'm sure Jamie will still be happy. That's pretty consistent lapping there for the 8.26 on their final lap here for Heat 1. As the excitement really builds, Lyndon, for me, and I'm really looking forward to this next heat. Matty Curtis, obviously a 2-time champion. Simon Tucker, we know the potential he's got. Adam Burl, Hamish Lockett there, Andy Maxwell in the green taxi. So there's lots to play out here this afternoon.
Yeah, little Polaris. It might be little in size, but it's big on fun. No two ways about it.
And Ron and Debbie go 11th quickest for the heat with a 14.27.2. So very good news there for the team at Scooter Around Racing in the little Polaris. That is the island combination. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. Still 2 laps remaining for Ron and Debbie.
Yeah, thanks very much to all of our sponsors out here, of course. Perry's, the Tin Man. If you're driving home along the freeway towards Port Perry, the big old Tin Man on your left-hand side service station. They prepared all of the salads and stuff for us here this weekend, and a lot of people have benefited from goodie bags that the bar class put together for everybody. So thanks very much to Perry's. Please go there and fill up and say that you have just been at the ToughAs MiniPave 250 and want to say thank you for your support. So thanks to Perry's. Offroadracing.com.au will be the place for all of the information. Of course, this heat seems a little bit fragmented, and that's because of the rollover, the Hicks rollover earlier. Everyone's okay, no problems there. But it has affected 4 other vehicles for their lap times, so very much required is you, yourself, viewing offroadracing.com.au at home, off your social media here. There's excellent reception here for everybody on their phones. You can look up and find out what times will be adjusted, because Julie Rogers, Ian Matheson, fantastic secretary, those two get their heads together, grab hold of Murray Rogers and give his arm a squeeze, and between all of those, that crew, they'll get some fantastic fair results there for everybody. Here comes the 6.23. Jeff Brennan, Brett Beattie. Really charging hard here in this heat, thanks to Loveday 4x4 Park, Ronco Motors, Sean's Mobile Mechanics and Manham Auto Parts. Just seems to be getting faster and faster, as most people do when you come out to off-road racing. Speaking of looking quick, this car looks faster sitting there, doesn't it? Still, the Chenoweth DR2 pushing the dirt up a little bit higher there. It takes a high line coming into the last corner.
We see him come through in the 111. That is the brown combination of Stephen and Naomi, and Brad Shear down as the navigators this weekend. Another one of our Nissan VQ35, very popular engine, Linden in the Pro Light Class 1 division. The 1035 of the man himself, Gavin Chan and Ian Langford in the Southern Cross Mark IV Honda 2.4 litre powered machine. So we'll keep an eye on the time there. The first of our sports lights across the line.
Yeah, beautifully prepared Southern Cross Mark IV. Tony Dawn spent many years, changed his mind on a few options, made multiple rear arms to get that car going. And every owner has had extreme success with that Southern Cross Mark IV.
And I'll be very happy where they stand so far, Linden. That was a 12.36 for those guys, so they go into third quickest as we stand here for Heat 1, and Ben McNamara finds himself with his quickest lap of the afternoon so far with a 12.29. So McNamara and John van der Leyen's really stepping up the pace there in the 668 machine.
Yeah, the Can-Am, great way to get into the sport. If you're sitting at home there and you're scratching your head as you see some of these cars go past, you go, hang on a minute. Are they sitting at that steering wheel's on the left-hand side of the machine? You're right. There's none of this reversal stuff or doing selfies. It is true. You have to learn how to drive a car from the left-hand seat. A lot of people don't like it, but I'll tell you, a majority of people soon forget it and start to go faster and faster out there. So there's a go and a stop pedal in most of these. So a pretty easy way to get into the sport and super reliable.
So great to see the 256 of Mark Taylor, Toby Hurst working their way towards a last lap board, Linden. So it's good to see those guys now up into 5th on the times. Just a note there, Linden, I was just checking out the lap 5 times before Mark Taylor crossed the line. So the first 5 cars to commence their final lap, there was only around 11 seconds between the first time there of the 12.25 of Jamie Parker and then back to Gavin Champ with a 12.36. Only around that 10-11 seconds between the first 5 cars on the circuit for that lap, which is pretty impressive over 20-kilometre circuit.
It is. Definitely some great driving skills on display here again, once again. It's a fantastic way to become a better driver on the roads, because the roads are infinitely more dangerous than a racetrack. Not many people drive around with a 6-point harness and a helmet on the roads, and I think they won't let you, is half of the problem.
Yeah.
Interferes with all of the airbag configurations and everything these days, so let your hair down, as they say, and get out and go do some off-road racing in a safe environment. Want to learn how to do it? Just look up, there's plenty of places around Australia to be able to do a little sample of racing to see if this is for you or not. Been up to Loveday when they're just running hot laps, so you can ring up and book and drive the car that Jody is doing so well with Simon Herman pointing the way there today. You can get a rally drive with Sophie, you can go jet skiing up there as well. So have a whole weekend. So that was round 1. So there's a lot of highlights online. You can have a look at my Facebook page later on. You'll see a whole heap of exciting action through Big Bad BD's lenses and Action Adam as well. And we're really happy to be able to bring this over because it's such an exciting sport, and yet it happens so far away from the general public that they just don't get a chance to admire and to be gobsmacked, wanting a better word, of how good this sport really is.
And we did see the Jody Veron entry go through in the 13.07. Simon Herman down in the navigator seat with a 13.07 to go 7th quickest for the heat at the moment. So they're on their final lap. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. The Vanstone shouldn't be too far away. Dougie Carthew, Heath Whedon, Ronnie Island, and it looks like, unfortunately for Grant Winter and Taya Peak fans, they are out of the heat with some brake drums there in the 620. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. Hopefully return to the circuit tomorrow. And here is the Vanstones, Linden. They're having a nice run out there in the Rids race frame Joker.
Oh, they would be not as happy as they'd like to be. They would be saying, where is 256? We're supposed to be right behind him. I don't know Mark Taylor and Hayden Vanstone have got a bit of a side bet going, but definitely looks like it's in Mark Taylor's favour at the moment.
So we still haven't got a time for, and the Vanstones go with a 13.25 to be there in 8th position. So yeah, there is a few minutes there, around that 2 minutes back there for the heat so far for the Vanstones to roll up their sleeves tomorrow, but there's still 20 kilometres left here, and we don't want to put the commentator's curse, as I said before. And Dougie Carthew should be the next one through. Heath Whedon in the Patrol, Ronnie Island in the Polaris. So our final 3 cars on the circuit for the second and final lap here.
Yeah, doing a great job in the conditions. It's a lot warmer than people expected. I was telling people, pack your warm clothes to come up here to spectate. And geez, was I wrong. But I'm only going on what other people tell me, the old Bureau of Meteorology, the BOM website. Ever reliable, but as we know, weather is not reliable. You can't program the weather. One thing we just don't have control of. But one thing we do have control of is a whole heap of very fast races that will come on track as soon as the last car finishes its lap. We'll see the next heat starting here. So hopefully you're enjoying the live transmission. It's all going out. We haven't had anyone say it's not working this time, so that's always good for us.
Always a plus with technology dramas that we do experience, and obviously a lot of remote terrain that's the biggest battle up the Gundawindi a few weeks ago, and there was just zero chance with the resources we had to get anything live out there. But you guys have done a great job, and yeah, it's awesome. The South Australian rounds, as you said, you started in the COVID era. And it's yeah, hopefully on to bigger and better things.
Yes, well, you know, that was my gift to the world there when the South Australians were all allowed to go and play. Didn't last long. Only was a week, and we all had to go back into lockdown. Well, that was Wakery actually, but it was able to take that technology that's available to everybody and go and play with the antennas. It was 30 kilometres away. And since then, they've built an antenna that's only about a couple of k's away from the track.
Yeah.
So maybe they had so many people who were showing an interest through the live transmission around the world, and it shook Telstra in, hey, we better put an antenna near this motor race. And of course, the Wanaka track, you can look that up on Google Earth. It's private property. Please don't go up there. Please don't hoon around the place there. Show respect, because the majority of these racetracks are on privately owned pieces of land. And there's not many races that use public land as there used to be when you're running a rally around the forests, for instance, and that sort of scenario. So if you see Ian or Brenda Barclay, give them a hug. As Danny Hanrahan says, go up and give the old fella a squeeze. And we really like the fact that we're able to come up in here and play.
So we see the Whedon entry, Linden cross through. It is the 7-9 of Heath and Michelle Whedon, I believe, from down the south of the state. They're doing things nicely here in the class production four-wheel drive patrol. So they crossed for their last lap, so I'll give you some times on those guys. Dougie Carthew and Sydney Ball should be the next one through. We just see them as Dougie rolls the berm nicely. That was a stylish bit of work there from Dougie. So he's 20 kilometres away from taking a little rest there, and there's a few rattles from the little rib master. We expect that after an hour's racing on any circuit.
Well, Doug Carthew and Cindy Ball, I'll guarantee you, will be out there working for the rest of the afternoon, going and helping all of the officials to give them a hand or a bit of a relief, a chance to go to the catering facilities behind us here, which is absolutely first class, as well as well, you've got a whole heap of stuff you can do here. Lock your kids in the playground, but Doug and Cindy do a great job, and they're just non-stop great people, and that's a top quality people. You like the sport, we've got the finishers here.
And talk about the great job, Lynn, and it is the Parker combination, and he's putting on a bit of a show as he crosses the line. Jamie and Naomi Parker, give them a round of applause if you're on the hill, because that is your first car home, our Heat 1 winners for this afternoon in Section 2, so they'll be very happy with that. He was a bit slow, around a minute off the pace there, so maybe a few little dramas, but I'm sure he'll be very happy, Jamie Parker, to complete the first 7 laps of his event, with still 5 laps remaining tomorrow morning. but he's definitely put the gap on the rest of the field. Jeff Brennan, obviously we lost the Tom Hicks entry, who started out as second position with that rollover. We'll keep an eye on the prize here. It is Jamie and Naomi Parker in the MiniPave Centriusa Port Augusta Nissan Patrol machine. First car home, and I'm sure he'll be leaving. I'm not sure he'll probably be staying here, but the beer will taste a little bit sweeter there for Jamie Parker this afternoon.
Well, definitely a gap to the next competitor here, and that's because of the rollover and corrected time, so don't be worried, as we mentioned before, and you probably, if you're at home looking at the top of the screen, offroadracing.com.au, and you'll see the corrected times. There's the Island Machine, the Polaris, comes around to complete another lap. I remember when they first brought that, very tentative looking after this car. Now Ron's just throwing it around, no problems at all.
Having a nice Saturday afternoon here at Port Germain, that is for sure. The Ron and Debbie Island.
And here comes our next
Polaris.
competitor's home, mate.
That's our second vehicle across the line, the 623. So congratulations to Jeff Brennan and Brett Beattie there in the Can-Am. So they'll set a time with a 12:36. So yeah, it's around that, only around 51 seconds off the pace, but he has still some time to get back there, Jeff Brennan. So it could be tight at the top of the heat. So we'll keep an eye on that, obviously. So just a message from the clerk of course, Murray Rogers. If everyone can hear this in the pits, our second heat of competitors, could you please line up ASAP? So Andrew Moles, Matty Curtis, Simon Tucker, Adam Burl, Hamish Lockett, Andy Maxwell, Nick Hicks, Brendan Johns, Trevor Snow, Blake Ridley, Cy Heaslip and Michael Shipton. Could you please make your way to the start line? That is the second heat, Lyndon, and it's very exciting because we're not too far away from seeing our quick cars here this afternoon. Obviously heat 2 of section 2, get us underway. It's going to be some action packed, and there's some cars out there that don't like running second, and that's what I love about the sport. And we're very close to seeing those guys off the line.
Yeah, we just had the 111 of the Brownie machine come through to complete their laps in the Chenoweth DR2. Congratulations to them, and that was Gavin Chant and all going through.
Yeah, Gavin Chant went very nicely there. He went through with a 12:39.1, so around a second quicker than Stephen and Naomi Brown there on that last lap. Just another shout out to all competitors in the pit area. If you could please make your way to the starting grid, that is the 12 cars for heat number 2 of section 2. We're not too far away from getting underway. Murray Rogers needs you at the starting grid, please. That is heat 2, section 2, led out by Andrew and Tegan Miles very shortly, so we'll keep an eye on those guys.
Yeah, another great finish there from Ben McNamara in his side-by-side. 6 laps complete. Another one of these vehicles that will have an adjusted time afterwards.
There's absolutely nothing between these competitors. Lyndon, and he went 4th quickest for the heat. He finished with a 12:35. So for Ben McNamara fans, your man had a late charge there, but we still have some time to get back for Jeff Brennan, Gavin Chant, Ben McNamara and Stephen Brown, who all obviously had to stop for the Tom Hicks rollover there on that second corner. So we're still awaiting around 5 or 6 cars to complete heat 1, and then we'll get underway for the final heat, the final lot of action for this afternoon.
Oh, that's his biggest jump of the day there, Mark Taylor in the 256. Boomer the buggy is bounding along once again, putting the pressure on the Volkswagen 1650 of the Vanstone, so I know Mark Taylor will be pretty chuffed with that. Well, it sounds like we've got a competitor with a gearbox broken, waiting out and about for recovery to come and help them. Was that Doug Carthrough that broke a gearbox, was it? Dougie Carthrough broke a gearbox? Yes? No, some people can hear me, some people can't. That'd be a shame.
Dougie, I think, yeah.
He was going great guns too. See one of the side-by-sides coming back there now. And here comes one for a finish. Who do you reckon this one is, Toby?
I reckon it's the Jody Veron entry, the 621. We'll keep an eye on that. It is definitely Jody Veron and Simon Herman going through there, so a nice performance. The team there at Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park will be very happy with their Saturday afternoon work, and she crosses with a 13.04, so very consistent times there for Jody, and currently in 7th position. Mark Taylor crossed with a 12.53, so also sitting in 6th position. And unfortunately, it does sound like on the two-way that Dougie Carthew and Cindy Ball have a gearbox drama in the 213. So unfortunately down as a DNF. So still waiting for the Vanstone combination. Hayden and Neil in the Super 1650. Heath and Michelle Whedon. Ron Ireland.
Well, they must have had a problem and snuck in the pits when we weren't looking. Ron and Debbie Ireland just gunning it back onto the track here.
Yeah, still a lap remaining for those guys, but still circulating nicely, and that's what it's all about. We see the Vanstone Ridge racing frame over the distance, so they shouldn't be too far away from a heat finish.
Superb conditions here. Samphire Road, Port Germain. Round 2 of the Motorsport Australia South Australian State Championships. Used to be just run over one race for many, many years down at Millicent. But Millicent going over to the ARB series. It left the opportunity there, and Tony Whaley said, hey, I'll take part in that, and that turned into, because of COVID, the Central Australia Cup. And now we've been able to run in 2022 2 rounds of the state championship. It's fantastic. So Ian Barclay being a promoter here for the first time this weekend, was a little bit apprehensive, but definitely been pulling his hair out over the last few weeks to get to the finish line here. And he's done a great job, the whole family, thank you. Here's the Vanstones. Now you've got to add up all the first lap into the seconds to see what is the real gap between the 256 and the 253. Now that 213's pulled out, these two are fighting it out for the Super 1650 title, state title. So we'd also like to thank our major sponsors here that have helped the Barclay family this weekend. Of course, MiniPave Bitumen, MiniPave Concrete. ToughAs Products, of course, major sponsor. Perry's Fuel, the Tin Man. David Kent Buses for bringing everybody around the place. Stories of the Road Museum have contributed to this weekend, as well as LM Diesel. Can't quite read that. It's a photo I'm reading off this here. So I Am Diesel or LSR Solutions. I have to find out about that. Wendy Bookkeeping and Tax Accountant. Now that's the very loud Wendy Salter out there. We absolutely love hearing her get excited about this. And Adrian Gardner Electrical. And of course, Brenda Barclay's Samphire Creation. So thanks very much to all of these sponsors that are keeping the event going here. There's a little bit of merchandise as well. You can buy your genuine World's Greatest Navigator stubby holder from the pop-up bar. What a creation that is. I think I just couldn't help myself. Had to go try some of their wares last night, and they've got some other merch available there that Brenda's made up. So get down to the mobile bar, and here's the excellent first-class review of that bar. Toby Cooper.
Yeah, it wasn't bad last night actually. Sampled a couple down there on the fire, and I'm sure there'll be a few had down there tonight. That's what it's all about, isn't it, Lyndon? You get around and you meet so many different people of all different parts of life, and it doesn't matter who you are, if you're a businessman or work, it just doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is. Everyone, it's just a family sport, and yeah, that's what it's all about. And proud to be down here. Once again, thanks to the Barkle family for the invitation to come down here and be a part of this great event, the inaugural MiniPave 250, and hopefully we'll be back for years to come. We saw the Vanstones cross before with the 13-18, so they were very consistent there to finish their afternoon's action. So of course this is the remainder of our sections basically for this afternoon, Lyndon. We'll see how quick 12 cars go, and then we'll be back at 8:30 to call the cars home for another 5 laps to declare an inaugural winner.
Yes, the time schedule is pretty tight here. You'll find that Murray Rogers runs a very tight ship. Basically very experienced clerk of course, so if you've got an off-road race anywhere around Australia and you want the best timing there is, get on to offroadracing.com.au. Murray and Julie, easy to contact. They're locals to the Tailem Bend racetrack these days, have shifted out of Flagstaff Hill down to Wellington Way, and are really enjoying their motorsport. Julie's an accountant, Murray is a former professor, so very talented crew to be able to bring all the information and the money they invest in the equipment to take around. It's not standard computers. These are proper commercial grade gear to be able to survive being driven thousands of kilometres every month. I mean every month, it's not a year. They just, bang, they'll be off to Rainbow next.
They've got a big 6 weeks coming up, that's for sure. Murray and Julie, they're off the Rainbow, then heading up to the new great thing in Aussie Off-Road, the Don River Dash up there in beautiful Bowen, before back down to New South Wales, or a little race my hometown called the Warrior 200. And then they're back down to South Australia for the Pines Enduro before they head up to Menham for the Menham Enduro. So you can only say they're in for a busy 6 weeks, but I'll tell you what, I was very jealous because I'd love to be at all 6 of those events, but just not going to happen. So we're still waiting, Lyndon, for the Heath and Michelle Whedon Patrol, and of course the Island Polaris, and that will be the all cars home, I believe, for Heat 1.
Yeah, they're making a bit of dust there. It's pretty easy to spot the races at the moment. So Wirri Aldermate, tell us a little bit about your hometown there. We hear that it has the largest head per capita of off-road race cars to people, and is that how you got interested?
Yeah, sort of, I suppose my grandfather was one of the founding members of Warrior back in 89, 90, so
wow.
He was with Terry Rose, which was, unfortunately lost Terry to cancer a couple of years ago. He was a 99, 2000 Australian champion, and his father Telford and his wife, sort of founding members along with Terry, and they sort of created the club. And from there, I suppose just Dad was involved, Mum was always helping out. So when I was a 2-3-year-old on the fence, and started helping timekeeping with a clock and a stopwatch when I was 7 or 8 years of age, and just sort of went from there. And yeah, actually, I haven't stepped aside this year. Haven't got much involvement in the club this year. Just sort of doing, busy with other things and so forth. But it's always been a good event. Now, obviously, COVID and dry weather's ruined the race the last 5 years. It's been 5 years since the Warrior 200, but it'll be on again this year. And I know a few of the guys down here are pretty keen to get up there next year. I know Simon Tucker's keen. He knows a few of the blokes up there, and also we'll see Toby Waitley up there one day with the trophy truck, hopefully. So. Yeah, no, it's only a little town, around 1,400 people, and big farming area. So that's where a lot of the mainstream population is based around. But yeah, it's just great to obviously, as you know, it's different terrain, different people. It's what it's all about. And obviously through Frogs Hollow TV, I've had a lot of people come up to me over the weekend and sort of introduce themselves without knowing who they actually are, putting names to faces. But massive thanks to Ian Barkler, and I'm sure this event, obviously, as you said, the facilities are here, competitors are here in the States, so I can't see why this event won't prosper into the future.
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to all the people in that area there. My parents went through, and Wirri Alder and the rest there, and go, there's buggy pictures here, and what's this Shell station? Yeah. They're all keen, and I gave them the heads up. and they were quite interested and took a little bit of extra time cruising through the town. And then they got down towards Gundawindi, blew a tyre on the trailer. Who do they meet? Off-road racers. And someone said, your kids, you're into off-roading. So bang, tyre was helped, gave them a stubby holder for the time. Yeah, off-road races. So you guarantee that you've got a friend anywhere around the country if you're associated. Yeah, it's great stuff.
And we see the Whedons cross, so they'll be very happy with that. And back onto the per capita, at one stage, yeah, you're right, we had around that 14, 15 cars per 1,300 population, so it's quite incredible. Obviously times change and people move on, and yeah, we've had a few of the guys sell out and sort of leave town and so forth, and families have come up, and yeah, we've still got around, I think, 5, 6, 7 local cars. So
yeah, it used to be held by Gawler here in South Australia because of Gawler Top Track short course and the Gawler Road Nights, their impact in the northern side of Adelaide, and the amount of people that would come to the Top Track was a massive. They used to use the Bob Gooey's property. They used to use the opposite side, where it's now completely full of houses. But they had a figure-8 track. Could you imagine off-road races crossing in front of each other on a path in a figure-8? And it was a really cowboy type of sport then. And then cams come on board, and a lot of people started throwing some well-needed safety rules about, and it still didn't impact greatly on the numbers of cars competing, but that's what Gawler, Williston, that area held the title for a while, and then lo and behold, Wirialta just started to wave the flag as Top Track got closed, and that's what it was. Sent a lot of people away, but most of them, all the stalwarts, are still very much involved with the sport. Only a few years ago, 85-year-old Billy Gower had the toilet block, of all things, from that place. They spent a whole heap of money. They were associated with the Gawler Motorcycle Club and got some fantastic facilities there. Spent a couple of New Year's Eve parties there. Awesome fun. And they had a house that they dropped down there, and very much like Ian Barclay, gathering any sort of find a second life for all of these objects. That's exactly what they did, because one thing an off-roader is pretty handy. They might not be a tradesman, but I'll tell you what, they could qualify it as, because there's a lot of skilled operators and a lot of very intelligent people associated with the sport.
Yeah. So, Linda, we're not too far away. We're still waiting for the Ron and Debbie Island Polaris. There's a bit of dust to the east as we stand here, but unfortunately Dougie Carthew's fans, your man's coming in on the back of a recovery vehicle, which is never good. We see the Island Polaris kicking up some dust, as I said, to the north of the circuit. So we're not too far away from seeing the first of our cars leave the line for Heat 2 here this afternoon, and this is where it really gets down to the crunch. This is where the contenders stand up and say, hey, I'm here to win the MiniPave 250, and that's what it's all about. Obviously, hopefully the main goal is here for everyone to be safe, Lyndon. That's the top priority for every event we go to, and things do go wrong, and unfortunately that is the nature of the beast. There's always mechanical dramas, and that'll never change in the sport, I don't think, but yeah, just hopefully we can get as many of these 12 starters back here, so we can have a good run here tomorrow for the trophy days, we like to call it, in off-road racing, Sunday's action, where the silverware and the champagne will be.
The champagne will be flowing, or if you go up to, I think it was VB beer, or was it Cooper's beer?
Yeah,
up at Love Day.
I copped about 4 cans, I reckon, on the podium. I was the only one that didn't get a can in the celebrations, but I soaked it up. It was a good experience.
Yeah,
and
you absorbed the most through the skip.
Yeah, Brad Gallard didn't miss me, I can tell you that, but that's all good. We can cop that. But so the 213, unfortunately, they're on the back of that tow vehicle, so that's not good news, Lyndon, for the Carthews. Unfortunately, if it is a gearbox, that will be the end of their weekend, I'd imagine, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's very sad that they didn't deserve that. Unfortunately, the commentator's curse again.
So what sort of time can Andrew and Tegan Moles set down? They do using this event as a bit of a testing session for their Heinz Enduro Assault at the end of September.
Wow.
I was talking to Andrew in the just behind the toilet block there this morning. I've only talked to him a few times. He's actually very keen on the 2023 ORC campaign. He's going to give it one more crack, he said, so he'll be one to definitely keep an eye on, because he is a smooth criminal, and once he gets used to these new setup in the vehicle, and obviously the BMW 3.5 litre machine sorted, he's going to be a really, really close one to watch next year in 2023, that's for sure. Of course, the first round is up in ToughAs this next season, which is new to the calendar, so the Gold City event up there.
Have you been up that far?
No, I've never been up to ToughAs. I commentate at an event up at Moorumbar, which is a couple of hours inland of Mackay every year, every July, so it's always good to get up there. The Mackay Off-Road Racing Club put on a good show, the Moorumbar 100. But no, I haven't been up to ToughAs, just inland of Townsville, so it's a long way up, but all the best to those guys next year, the AIC Round 1, and Ron and Debbie Island are about to get their checkered flag, so this is a good story of the day for me.
Yeah, great finish here for Ron and Debbie.
So we still haven't had a time yet, Lyndon, for the Whedon combination or the Islands, so we'll keep an eye on that. But that looks like all cars are in the house, ladies and gentlemen, so that means we are on to the big boys. We're on the line here with the Andrew Moles, Tegan Moles combination. Nearly under starters orders. Clerk, of course, Murray Rogers shows Andrew Moles where he has to stand here on the grid, so we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the sweet singing Razorback, another one of our Aussie made, designed, built machines, Lyndon.
Yeah, definitely got a, that's James Madden, put these frames together.
Yeah.
He is a top class welder, used to weld submarines together,
Yeah,
is
right.
that good? And funnily enough, I bought my very first frame, a Southern Cross Mark II, off of James Madden down at the Volkswagen Club of South Australia's Day of the Volkswagen Collie Reserve, and that was a bit of a laugh. He was still just finishing his apprenticeship as a welder then, and years later we caught up, and of course the off-road shop was born from that, as well as the Razorbacks, and did a few trucks as well. But the Maddens have been cruising around the place there. COVID's affected all people in different ways, but great to see these race cars out and about. And the Moles machine here, 135, what a weapon. I think he's the Donaldson dealer up in Alice Springs, so he definitely knows the secret to having clean air. A lot of guys will just not think about your air filter as much as probably you should. The cleaner the air, the more power you'll get through to your drive line. So one of the things we always did was swap over air filters at lunchtime. Just it does make a difference. It might look like a clean filter, but wow, it's a microscopic, a lot of the dust, and it does get in there. So have a bit of a chat with Molesy about the Donaldson stuff. They've got some fantastic gear for all of the heavy mining equipment, and he's doing a bit of mining. And looking at that car, she's full size, right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good piece of machine, that's for sure. So obviously I think we're under the minute mark now, Lynn, as we approach 3:15 local time here in beautiful South Australia. I believe we're nearly about to get on the light. So it'll be Andrew Moles and Tegan Moles, our sole Northern Territory, our sole interstate competitors here for the MiniPave 250, and they're about to get their section underway. One of my tips for the weekend, Ian, it's going to be very interesting. He's got that 4-second gap now over Matty Curtis. What can he do from P2? But all on the line now, it is the Moles combination about to get their first of 6 laps underway. A bit of a miss there for the Moles Razorback, but unfortunately he's back up and running. You don't see that usually from Andrew Moles, maybe a bit of a mechanical drama there, but he's off and running nicely there now, so good to see. Now onto the line, Lyndon, is the 136, a 2-time class champion here at the Auto Pro Challenge and the Quiddline Carpentry 200 back in 16 and 19.
Yeah, the GCR Rhino looking pretty quick. They'll be pushing Molesy as fast as they can. These guys are very experienced up here at this track.
And here's one of my big surprise packets for the weekend. He's going to be one to watch here this afternoon. Simon Tucker, Riley Skinner and Kyle Tucker in the Southern Cross. Listen to this thing sing off the line in P3. Still getting used to the 3.5 litre power, that is for sure. He stepped up from the Super 1650 class, but all the best to the boy from Streaky Bay, Simon Tucker in the 110. Now on the line is the first of our pro buggies. It is the Adam Burl Nairi Birmingham entry, the 35 Linden, the Jimco 2000 series, and another one to really watch here. And I'll expect him to get quicker and quicker as the laps go down.
Yeah, part of the problem is with this is bitumen in front of us, and a lot of guys are used to having a little bit of wheel spin, a little bit of slip. So hence Molesy having a bit of trouble there getting away. But
and now the 1071 on the line, that is the Hamish Lockett entry, the little single-seater Digrite Suzuki 1300cc powered machine. I believe he's up from the Waikery area, full tilt racing. He finished 5th outright at the New Riverland 300 last season in a Class 1 S&S Frames Wolfram machine. I believe that was Rich Andrews there. But he's out here and starting our position number 5, and I look for a big assault here for Hamish Lockett.
now the 4-door favourite, the 532 of Andy Maxwell. Got some extended guards on it this weekend. Look at it there.
It's pretty cool to see a Ford Falcon starting our position 6, and it's always beautifully presented, isn't it? Really, yeah, they're a good team. Anything Cars Racing, I believe Chris Pickett's part of that team as well, and there's undoubtedly no one quicker in performance two-wheel drive than Chris Pickett Australia-wide. And on the line is the next of our pro buggies. It's the 85, the Unlimited. Nick Hicks, Christian McIntosh, Hicks and Macca Racing, Element Prodigy. Oh, these things are very smooth.
Did that just take off so nicely? That was beautiful acceleration.
Of course, the ex-Terry Malloy Element Prodigy. It's a Nissan VQ35 twin-turbo powered machine. And of course, the 2021 Kalgoorlie Desert Race champion. And he'll head over there again in a couple of months' time as the defending champion. On the line now is the 1, 2, 3.
Here's Brendan Johns, the Northern Grain machine.
Blair and Cooper Johns down as the navigators in the Southern Cross Mark 5 Toyota powered machine, 3.5 litre. As I said, he was 8th outright here earlier in the season in June at the Quitterline Carpentry 200, so obviously knows the track pretty well. So all the best to Brendan Johns, Blair and Cooper in the navigator's seat.
Trevor Snow, the 158 on line now.
He's got Darren and Josie Pryor in the navigator seats, another one of their S&S race frames Mark 1 Mitsubishi powered. He was, as I said, 5th outright here in June as well. So a couple of these competitors have already had some top results in 2022. And here's another newcomer to the sport, Lyndon. This is Blake Ridley, the son of Matt Ridley, who we saw finish 11th in the South Australian Championship component up at the Loveday 400. So handed the Rids race frame Joker Honda powered machine down to son Blake, and he's making his debut and doing the team proud here, starting out of position number 10.
Yeah, that was a very good start, believe it or not, because it only has a very small clutch, being a motorcycle engine, so they have to be gingerly applied the power there very carefully to get it away, and done a great job there. It looks good. Now, Cy Heaslip in the ex-Trevor Copeland single-seater Jimco. You can see the difference an automatic makes in the gearbox. Yeah. Very smooth acceleration, a bit like the Can-Ams. There's no hesitation at all.
I expect Cy, I've heard a few good things about his driving style, so he hasn't been around for a long time, but he's making his way here at Port Germain Circuit. Now the last one off for Heat 2, Section 2, Michael Shipton and Paul Charlton here in the 585, the second of our performance tour drives, Lyndon, and we'll hear some loud cheers, I'm sure, as they head towards the spectator area.
Yeah, you can hear the cheering there. Huge crowd support there for the Shipton, the Princess Racing team. Started off on a Commodore there and decided they'll have a limited budget, and I think they spent nearly all of it on suspension. But Wendy, being the bookkeeper she is, was able to winkle and wangle some more support, and great to see this truck out here. Simon Herman spent a fair bit of time tickling the car, and they've been mucking around with ride heights and really learning the differences of having a car with long travel suspension. And you know, they were really right up there at the Fink Desert Race.
Yeah.
And been doing some really good things. Got an outright third position
outright
at the
bend.
bend.
Yeah, they're pretty stoked about that. They lost the wheel here, I believe, back in June, didn't they? Just over this jump here in front of us. So, and they're running up there nicely.
That was pretty spectacular too. It accelerated away from the car and launched itself off of the berms here. Yeah, you can see all the spectators' eyes light up. But yes, the wheel knew what to do and ran away from all of the spectators. But they were good enough to put some more studs into the rear of the car, and they finished the event. So chasing Sayora Championship points in that case.
Yeah, unfortunately he had a DNF over at Wanaka, I believe, a few weeks ago. Did a diff there, so put him down. I haven't seen the official unveiling of the Sayora points after Wanaka. We've 1 round to go, but he'll still be well and truly in contention. So that is our 12 fastest cars from the opening section on the track for the 2022 ToughAs MiniPave 250. Linden, and we shouldn't be too far away. We see some serious race dust to the east, looking back towards Whyalla, the front of the circuit. But we shouldn't be too far away from seeing hopefully Andrew Moles, Matty Curtis. There's some real speed out there, that is for sure. First time I've actually met young Matty Curtis. He seems like he's a pretty calm, collected sort of fella, which is great to see. I know he's got a good team behind him. Gary Curtis, I believe, is his father in the navigator's seat, and Sam Bandstone down as the navigator. So keep a close eye on those twos. Obviously we saw Moles, he missed the start unfortunately for those guys, but I'm sure he's out to make up the time.
Yeah, I'm just staring up. We've just been in the background there. The camera B is just watching this black shadow pacing around me there, so I just had to wave. Yeah, I am here, I'm sitting down. Toby's that excited, he cannot sit down. He's been pacing. I reckon he's done about 15 kilometres walking here today, but that's the adrenaline that gets into the system and the excitement that off-road racing brings to the individual, and we're really enjoying having you here, mate. This is a great job you're doing too. Well done.
Yeah, I've never been one to, I've been commentating now for a number of years. I actually haven't been able to sit down at all. I was pacing above one of the container ships down there at Gundawindi a few weeks ago, and I think I lost 3 or 4 kilos on the Sunday just pacing up and down the box. There was a well-deserved ale had on Sunday night, that is for sure. So we see the first of our cows, and have a look at the speed of Andrew Moles. My eyesight is not great, but that looks like it is the white, yellow, black Razorback of Andrew Moles and Tegan Moles, and that looks like it's the GCR Rhino, not too far away. So will Matty Curtis be the one who's going to make the early move, Lynn? And this is what is so exciting about the sport of off-road racing.
Yeah, well, the only way to definitely find out is offroadracing.com.au. Click on the link to live and you'll be able to see all the information that we've got here in front of us. Don't know, they'll be pretty madly doing the corrective times for the previous heat for the car stopping for assistance, but this BMW powered Razorback of Moles sounds fantastic.
Fantastic rev. There's nothing better than a high revving engine. He has been around for a long time. He's had a great, last decade or so. The last few years since sort of COVID, he has had a few years off, but of course he was 6th outright at the 2021 Fink Desert Race. He was 3rd outright down here at Perilla last year. He had a good run there. He had a 3rd outright at Griffith back in 2016. He was the 2013 AORC Pro Light champion. He was 5th outright also that year in the championship. He had a couple of top 5s at Coss Harbour and the Lockyer Valley back in 2013. Of course, he debuted the Razorback at the 2010 Pines Enduro to a 2nd outright. So he's no slouch, that is for sure, Andrew Moles. And you hear that.
Here he is, camera A has got him on track. Oh, big sideways moment off that jump. Throwing up plumes of dust into the air as he corrects the sideways motion of that car. He is trying hard.
Yeah, he's going to drive the doors off it, and he'll have to, because young Matty Curtis is right on his heels. He just starts out of one of those final berms there to our left of the commentary car, and he is hot on the heels of Andrew Moles. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. Simon Tucker now into the fray. He points the Southern Cross Next Gen towards us here at the finish line. So the top three still running nicely. Adam Burl in the Jimco shouldn't be too far away. Hamish Lockett, he won't make the noise there in the little machine, but we're getting some great footage here from
It's camera B.
Camera
That's
B.
Big Bad BD.
He's setting the screens alight across social media. So the first car, Lyndon,
Oh.
is in our fray, and it is the Moles Motorsport Razorback. So the 135 doing his thing nicely here as we approach 3:30 local time at Port Germain. So
That BMW V8 sounds magnificent.
So hot on his heel is the Curtis entry, doing his thing nicely as well.
I don't
Hard
reckon
on the
that's
brakes.
30 seconds, Toby.
No, I don't either. I'm just trying to get some times up. I haven't actually had any success of it yet. There might be a little bit of delay, but we'll bring those to you as we get them. But I reckon you're right. I reckon that was well under 30 seconds. So keep an eye on the battle at the front. Moles and Matty Curtis leading the way, and Simon Tucker now directs his Southern Cross towards us here. And I'll tell you what, I like the style of young Simon Tucker. I don't know why I'm calling him young. He's a middle-aged man, but he's new to the scene. He's definitely not veteran status yet, but I'll tell you what, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in 2023. A couple more races this year to get used to the Southern Cross. Of course, this is Brett Smith's machine. Simon Tucker from Streaky Bay. I love calling the Streaky Bay. I'd love to get down there and check it out. But it's great to see him here running nicely.
Yeah, you got some lap times there at the moment, and Matt Curtis is fastest.
Yeah, there you go. So we caught it. Matty Curtis with an 11.02, Moles with 11.13, and Simon Tucker with an 11.16. So there's nothing in it, ladies and gentlemen. And what is Adam Burl going to say about that? The first of our Jimcos, the first of our Pro Buggies back to the complex. Oh, it's another beautifully presented car, isn't it? You can really see the competitors, Lyndon, they really do struggle to pull up into this first corner coming off the bitumen. It's a unique part of the complex as well. I haven't really noticed that before, but he sort of got a bit twisted there as he tried to correct himself into that first corner. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously the pace of these machines is a lot higher than the previous heat. And he goes with an 11.20 Adam Burl. So the top four are in the house on corrected time, so we'll keep an eye on that. Hamish Lockett, Andy Maxwell should be the next couple through.
Yeah, unfortunately, Andy Maxwell was stopped with fuel pressure problems. So hopefully you'll be able to sort that issue out and get back out there. You've got plenty of four-door fans for the Ford.
Looks like our element machine still running nicely. The 85, our Kalgoorlie champion. Hamish Lockett having a nice run here in the 1071.
Oh, the Lockett clan up there at Sprint Freight and Logistics at Waikerie be all cheering hard at the moment for their man, Hamish.
So we'll try to get a time there for Hamish. He goes 11.54, but he's still running in that 5th position, so I'm sure he'll be very happy with that. His father, James, I think they're very well high up in the Waikerie club up there. So
Definitely been president for many years.
So it's
James Lockett.
See young Hamish doing the family proud here at the ToughAs MiniPave 250. And for these competitors, Lyndon, there's still 100 kilometres of action today. It sounds like a lot when you're standing here, but the speed these guys are doing across the circuit, it will not take very long at all. Obviously 10, 11 minute laps for the fast competitors.
Yeah, there's a lot of dust starting to hang over the samphire bushes here. And that's always the sign of towards the afternoon on a Saturday. The fast guys are on course. It's a traditional way they've run this race.
So here is our element prodigy of Nick Hicks and Christian McIntosh. They're doing their thing nicely as well. So they didn't expect big things this weekend, but I know Nick's he's a fierce competitor, so he might be just underlying it a bit, saying we're only here to sort of test for the events later in the season, but once you get the helmet on, that goes clear out the window, that is for sure. So we'll get a time for the Hicks entry. And he goes 6 quickest with a 12.03, so a pretty solid lap there for the element campaigners.
Yeah, no trouble switching from the Can-Am to an outright buggy, as Royden Bailey has done the same thing with an element prodigy. But interesting, I was wondering who Nick Hicks got that car off of. That was a Malloy car.
Yeah.
Right. Terry Malloy.
Terry Malloy, that was it. One of the competitors out of the Griffith area, a farmer from up that way. He bought, I think he had 5 or 6 races in it, and just decided that he's sort of ticked that box. And Terry had a couple of top 5 finish. I think he finished 5th outright at Gundawindi back in like 17, 18. So the car has got a lot of pedigree there, and of course we all know the quality of the Element machine. So we just saw the Brendan and Blair Cooper-Johns entry go through. They went 7th quickest with a 12.09.
And Trevor Snow, Darren Josie Pryor coming through in their pro line now. 1.58.
I believe that was one of the original S&S frame machines.
It was,
yeah,
yes.
one
That
of the
was
original.
when it was Scotty Schiller and Eric Schmidt.
Yeah.
Up there at Wakery at the time. Now, of course, Scotty Schiller relocated to Perth. Eric's still around the place, still got his Triton and his Volkswagen Silhouette Baja sitting in the shed there, but they're enjoying watching the golfers over the back fence there. They live close to the old Enduro Road at Sunlands near Wakery.
So we saw Trevor Snow went 8th quickest with a 12.14. Here's another one of our next generation competitors, Blake Ridley. Of course, Matt Ridley's son here in the Rids race frame Joker Honda car. Making some serious noise. He crosses in front of us here on the spectator area, and he goes 9th quickest with a 12.37. So still a nice little lap there for Blake Ridley. And he's another one of them guys I expect to really work his way through the ranks. And there's your man going through Lyndon. That was C. Heaslip. He goes with a 12.23 in the 9th quickest. So expect him to get quicker as the day progresses.
Yeah, I think Annie Galliford and Trevor Copeland got their fingers crossed that Side can get a good run out of this car.
And get ready for the cheer on the hill, because your man is in the house. Michael Shipton and Paul Charlton. And there you go, you can hear it from here. It's a great to see families that race together, stay together. And Michael Shipton goes 8th quickest in the Ford Ranger with a 12.13. So some good news there for the class, or the leading production 2-wheel drive machine out there now, obviously with the withdrawal, looks like, of Andy Maxwell. Looks like his day will be over there in the Ford Falcon. So we'll keep an eye on the prize out on the front of our vision here, Lyndon, and we shouldn't be only a few minutes away from seeing our lead car. Of course, we're down to 11 on the circuit.
Yeah, the dust has definitely been blown into a southerly direction, just enough to keep it away from us here and the spectators. So thanks very much, Mr. Wind. But that's showing us just how much these race cars are putting the earth into the air to be redistributed in the correct places. And of course, talking about Wendy Salter there and her scream, mate, I've been to the Royal Show quite a few times there, and we have it at Wavell Showgrounds here, and there's a whole lot of rides that scream like that when the ride's over, sort of thing, and it's almost identical, because there it is,
there
that's it,
go.
yeah, correct, right. I don't know if it's the Mad Mouse or what it was, but
we should start Australia's biggest off-road fan, biggest off-road supporter, biggest off-road scream, whatever you like to call it. And I'm sure Shippo's mother up there would be very, very. She'll be running closely at the top of that standings. Well, that's very impressive.
Let's say there's going to be a big effort to beat her. She is very good.
So there we go, the first of our machines on lap 2, the lead lap here. And as I just had a look at the outright times, as we stand, obviously all provisional, but it looks like Maddie Curtis has around a 6-second lead after the opening lap of Heat 2 in the outright standings, but we'll keep an eye on that. Oh, there you go. Unfortunately for Matty Curtis fans, I have just caught him. It looks like he's stopped with a power steering drama on our live timing. So some devastating news there for Matty Curtis, Gary Curtis, Sam Bandstone, who just set the quickest lap of the event with an 11.02, and looks like they've stopped with some power steering dramas. So hopefully they can return to the circuit. But some devastating news, Lyndon, and that is unfortunately the ordinary part of this job, when you have to call some DNFs through on the microphone. But it is part of the beast, and it will definitely be something that will always be appearing on our screens.
Yeah, so hard luck to the Filmer Delivery, Kapunda 4x4, Priors Auto, Ronco Engineering, GCR, Rhino, Nissan VQ35 powered machine. Hopefully these guys will be able to sort the issue out. So what happens when your power steering gives you an issue? Suddenly the car is incredibly hard to steer. You need arms as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger in order to steer these vehicles.
Have a look, Lyndon, at the way this Andrew Moles and Tegan Moles are circulating here in the Razorback. They are putting on a show for the locals here at Port Germain. So I said, I'll just run through a bit of his record there before. He's a serious campaigner, and any event he enters, I'm sure he's always going to be up there. The Think Desiree, obviously his home event up there in Alice Springs. So thanks, of course, to Moles Motorsport. It's great to see the calibre of a driver like Andrew nominate for the second round of the South Australian Championship, and of course, yeah, it's great to see him and his daughter here this weekend and having some fun at Ian Barclay's place.
Yes, the Northern Territory, they'd like to thank the Alice Hose Tech and Industrial Supply Company, AHT Towing, and for your engine fans, it's a BMW S65 3.5 litre.
He's on the gas for here, Lynn. I was just keeping a close eye. He was up on two wheels there for a smallest moment. He swings her into that little right-hand turn. He takes the final jump, and Andrew Moles, he might be finding himself working his way into some form here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep an eye on the 135 as he negotiates the final berm on lap 2. Simon Tucker in the background. But the Alice Spring combination, the father and daughter duo there cross. So at a time for, and there you go. So the quickest lap time with 11:01.0 for Andrew Moles. So he's definitely the leading car at the moment. Simon Tucker, he might have something to say about that. We see the Jimco of Adam Burrow and Norrie Birmingham over in the distance. So they're still running nicely, Lyndon. It's good to see Adam having a nice start to his Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, the Jet Tech Performance All Black Jimco 2000 series. Chev LS2 6 litre in this beast. He had a Chenoweth before that, DR2.
Yeah, the 111 I think that was here. I think that was his, and then he had a side-by-side before that. So.
That's right.
And he did say the other night, he said, as long as I can still afford to go racing, I'll be turning up in leaps and bounds. So Simon Tucker will keep an eye on the next gen Southern Cross, of course the ex-Brett Smith entry.
Yeah, the SC Tucker Transport Gulf Western Oil Southern Cross. Last buggy Bob Strawbridge has built.
He's having a red hot crack, Simon Tucker, and that's what I love to see. And it's funny how, Lynn, you talk to people before the race, oh, it's just going to be about going out there, taking it nice and easy, getting through laps, and you see him come through here, and it's like, that's all obviously gone out the window. So we'll keep an eye on Simon Tucker, and there you go. He goes 6 seconds quicker, so he's 11:10. Wow. So he's only around that 8-9 seconds off the pace of Andrew Moles. So we'll keep an eye on Tucker and Riley Skinner, Kyle Tucker there in the navigator's seat. Adam Burl and Norrie Birmingham in the 35 Jimco 2000 series. Spin it around towards another lap on the board. So it's great to see those guys having a nice run there in the 35 Jimco 2000 series. And he goes 11:18. So again, quickest lap for those guys there in the 35. So nice to see for Adam and Norrie in the 35.
Yes, Naree had or Nairee, depends what side of the campfire you're on. She broke her leg partying on at Manham because Adam relocated, invited a heap of people to come up and party with him at Manham. If you keep an eye out there on Facebook, you might get an invite and come up, but he moved up from Lonsdale area and sold up once Warney passed away. He decided to change his life a little, sell up a whole heap of gear and move up to Manham. So he's been settling in and posting plenty of photos cruising along the mighty Murray River. And that's what it is. Live your life to the full, because that's what everybody's doing out here this weekend.
And it's good to see Lyndon just button in there. So it looks like the Ford Falcon of Maxwell's back on the circuit. So there's only one vehicle in Australia that looks like the 532 of Andy Maxwell. Unfortunately, there is the Curtis Prolot machine. It was our leading car on the times, towed back in. So it is some bad news there for those guys. But good to see Andy Maxwell, Cody Pickett and Jackson Brown back on the circuit in the Ford Falcon, Ford Windsor powered machine. And here's young Hamish Lockett now working his way towards a second lap on the board in the 1071 dig right machine.
Yeah, obviously a little bit more than standard problem for the power steering issue for GCR Rhino, the Curtis machine. But yeah, Hamish looking quick.
That's 11.53, so a second quicker than his opening lap. So some good news there for the team there at Full Tilt Racing. He currently finds himself in around 4th outright position. So there you go. We knew he'd be quick. I did pick him earlier in the weekend to be sort of come from, yeah.
He'd like to thank Sprint Freight and Logistics, Shill Auto Parts and Ridge Racing Frames for helping to dig right Suzuki get on track. And I'll tell you what, Andy Maxwell, he'd like to thank everybody supporting him too, from Anything Cars Mechanical, Whale Excavations at 5 PM Motorsports.
Everything seems to be running all okay there at the moment for the 532 Falcon. So he has his first lap on the board, unfortunately down with a 24.11, but he basically has dropped a lap on the time, so I'm sure he's going to make amends with that from here on. And hot on his heels is the 85, the Nick Hicks Christian McIntosh Element Prodigy.
Yeah, I heard he was chasing one for quite a while, but the couldn't wait for the orders to be filled there at Element. Definitely getting more and more popular, and I think you know why. You can give us a first-hand information about why they're so good.
Yes, they are a smooth machine and they handle so well. The front end of those cars is second to none, probably. Well, a lot of the guys say the best in the sport and could match any of the American design vehicles, the Element Prodigies. And I think there's about 12, 13 now out on the circuit. And I know there's a few more on the pipeline. I was talking to some of the guys that actually, the Egger brothers and Rowan Eggers and Carl Habing, the likes up there at Menham, and yeah, it's awesome to see, and I'm sure there'll be some more out there on the circuit. I think they'll probably get to a stage when they might, I don't know, close shop, or we'll wait and see, but while the time's right, they're going to keep producing those Element Prodigies. Brendan Johns, Blair and Cooper Johns go through in the Northern Grain Southern Cross Mark 5 Toyota powered 3.5 litre machine with a 1201, so
yeah, having a lot of shock absorber bounce there. That on Trevor Snow coming through in the 158. You'd like to thank Trev's Labour Service and of course the Westpac Bank. And Trevor Snow at a lap time there of 11 minutes 57 seconds, so that's significantly quicker by about 17 seconds in his first lap. offroadracing.com.au if you want to have a bit of an insight into where all the cars are. Not forgetting we've got the whole heap of laps to complete tomorrow. We welcome everybody to come up here to the Barclays property. There's, as I said, the Rock and Roll Diner serving magnificent meals out the back here. You've got a playground to lock your junior kids in during the day. And the mobile bar, as we mentioned before. Basically, Si Heaslip thinking, I'll just go and have a look at the pits there or something not happening, but we got all of that on camera. Well done. I think Si was slipping away over the edge there and has created a little bit of an interesting corner for young Ridley here coming through. Did you see that, Toby? Si Heaslip completely missed the corner here, straight off, heading towards Port Germain he was.
He got a bit excited there. I actually did miss that, but he went with a 12.10, so around 13 seconds quicker than his opening lap. So there's some good signs there for Si Heaslip. Blake Ridley went in through there with a 12.38, so a second off the pace of his opening lap. And Michael Shipton, Paul Chorlton fans, your man is 8th quickest after 2 laps with a 12.08, so sitting pretty there in the SBH Ford Ranger. Of course, Simon Herman does a lot of work, Lyndon, on these machines, not only the Can-Am and the side-by-side, but he also has delved into the production sort of vehicles. I know he does a lot of work on Michael Shipton's Ford Ranger, so shout out to Simon Herman there.
Yeah, they'd also like to thank Business Books today. That'll be Wendy. Waiting for a squeal there, couldn't quite hear it. There it is. Stopper Paint and Panel, SBH Engineering and Delco Constructions go to help them along the track. Now with the 999 Pro of Cy Heaslip, we'd like to thank a few people as well. Carlton Motors, Adrian Gardner Electrical, Jedi Productions and MiniPave for helping the Jimco L98 V8 6 litre out on track here. And he was just definitely just showing off, I'm sure there is get back and have a look at, and apologies if you see a little bit of a sheet going over the top of the camera every once in a while. That's camera A down here that's getting doused in dust. He likes it, he's chewing it up okay, but the camera does not like it one little bit. So apologies if your vision's a little bit impaired there, but that's part of the fun of doing live transmission here, where we're looking at about 5 or 6 screens at once. It's over.
We've got a bit going on up here, and I see TouughAs has got a bit going on behind the wheel. There's Andrew Miles in the Razorback. Currently our lead car here, well, obviously all provisional times. He leads the way. Simon Tucker is in a hurry over the back. There's some top speeds out there. I reckon these Prolite buggies be around that 170 to 180 mark, I'd say, these front leading cars. But we see Miles nicely, carefully works his way into that. It's one of the final berms here, Lyndon. So the 135, the father and daughter combination moving nicely. We see Simon Tucker head back towards us here at headquarters. So the 110 of Simon Tucker is still a big threat here for Andrew Miles, so he's really got to keep the pace down. That's the good thing about an event like this, with this format with the 6 laps, 5 laps. If you drop a couple of minutes on one lap, that's basically your campaign done and dusted. So Andrew Miles needs to keep the pace on. But Simon Tucker, Adam Burl, Hamish Lockett, they're all thereabouts to pounce if there's an error from Miles and Miles in the Razorback.
Yeah, putting on a great show here. The Moles machine just sounds the business. You can hear just the gear changes, just instantaneous. The engine is at full revs without any hesitation. You know, these high performance V8, only small little pistons in them to make it a V8, but wow, does it work well.
So our leading car, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Moles combination, the Moles Motorsport 135 Razorback. Didn't sound good.
Oh, that's my fault, isn't it? I said how sweet the gear changes were, and he was missing them.
He missed a couple there. The old paddle shift in the machine now, so yeah, he did say it'll take a little bit to get used to and sort it out with the Razorback. He's firing on all cylinders here this afternoon, so we'll try to get a time for Andrew Miles for lap number 3. And Milesy goes with an 11.11, so his second quickest lap of this afternoon. So Simon Tucker now, all eyes on Tucker in the 110. Riley Skinner, Cole Tucker down as the navigator, is currently second on the circuit. We see Adam Burl in the Jimco head towards the north of the circuit, so he's sitting nicely. But here is Simon Tucker. Oh, I've said it before, Linda, but I just like what I say about Simon Tucker, the 110.
It's a beast.
It is a beast. It's a beautifully presented Jimco. Bob Strawbridge, the team down there. It's Brains have done some extraordinary work over the years. Actually, one of the bloke I navigate for back at home, Wheelie Rose, we mentioned before, he has a Southern Cross Mark 5, so it's great to see Simon Tucker out on the circuit. And Simon Tucker, ladies and gentlemen, he goes with an 11.09.5, so he sets his quickest lap of the afternoon. So there you go, he was 2 seconds quicker there, Simon Tucker, than the Moles machine on lap number 3. So
did you say 2 seconds faster? Wow.
On lap 3, Simon Tucker has got the edge on that lap. Obviously, Moles still has a nice little advantage for the outright position. Adam Burr and Nairi Birmingham now come through, the 35 Jimco, so they're running nicely.
Jet Tech Performance Jimco. Looking pretty sweet, sounding sweet. Formerly Toddy Lehman's down the southeast, this car. He's got a new one that's come out as well.
Yeah, he's got a new machine. I saw that he raced down at that. Was it the David Larter Memorial night race down there in a couple of weeks ago? And Adam Burl goes with his quickest lap of the event with an 11:13.7. So the times are fast, ladies and gentlemen. They're really heating up as we approach the second half of the heat here. So all lead cars are on lap 4 of 6. So we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the next one too. I think Hamish Lockett shouldn't be too far away. Nick Hicks, Brendan Johns, Trevor Snow, Michael Shipton, C. Heaslip, Blake Ridley and Andy Maxwell as well. So Andrew Mole still leads the way, Lyndon, as we approach the second half of this heat.
And hasn't it been fast too? These guys are definitely pushing this machinery to its limits. And putting on a great show here. We know the Wakery team will be screaming for Hamish. Pretty much, I think he's associated with the multi-generational continuation of sprint, freight and logistics. James Lockett's parents started the firm, long-term Wakery transport, and all through the Riverland, all the way down to around here. They've got sprint, freight and logistics depots. So grown the company to a huge state. A lot of buildings through beautiful Riverland of South Australia bear their signage on the side. So shout out to the old Wakery there. They had to cut down the enduro there. It was just too many events too close together this year, and Wakery decided to let's just make the track better for next year. Seems they've located about 30 k's south of Wakery now with the new Wakery, or new Riverland Enduro as they like to call it. Great little track out there last year. Shout out to Rocco and crew, the next door neighbours there. Wish you were up partying with you guys, I'll tell you. That was the most expensive seat I've had to commentate in there at the new Wakery event, mate. It's one of those four-wheel drive giant farming tractors. You know, well, the tyres are a foothold so higher than I am tall. Absolutely fantastic that was.
And look at the green Ford Falcon here of Andy Maxwell doing his thing nicely. Unfortunately, had a few issues, I believe, on that opening lap, but he's still circulating nicely. The 5:32 here, he crosses the line, so he's obviously a lap down, but 2 laps in the books for Andy Maxwell.
Yeah, we remember this in a slow motion shot by Action Adam out there at Manham a few years ago when it was white. This car just went ballistic around the world, that slow motion. People could not believe a 4-door car was capable of leaping so far and long and high, and that's what off-road racing does, makes people's mouths drop open that don't know the sport and just think, wow, where has this been? A bit like the stadium trucks did for supercars. You know, it's destroyed them really. They need to bring them back if they want to have any chance of surviving. And but that's the type of appeal. I was lucky enough to be associated with the stadium trucks in a small way, and took my parents and my brother. We all went down there to watch the first race down there at the sensational Adelaide race, and wow, no one was interested in him. No one even went to the tents. They're all going, yeah, whatever. And we've got close to the fence there for the first heat, and then the next heat there was about 4 or 5 people thick. You could not get near the track. So that's how much excitement off-road racing brings to the general population, and we're happy to be able to bring this to you live. Thanks to the Barclay clan, and thank you very much to Toby Cooper coming all the way down from top of New South Wales to be part of this event here this weekend.
So we saw the, we're talking about the Ford Falcon there of Andy Maxwell, and he went through with 11:52. So that was a lightning time there for the Performance Tour drive machine. We saw the 1:58 also cross.
Trevor Snow and Darren Josie Pryor.
They went with 11:59, so they're currently 5th quickest, just below that of Hamish Lockett, who went through with a 12:05. And it looks like Nick Hicks is in the pits there in the 85 Element Prodigy, so
Oh dear.
didn't see Nick head into the pits, but unfortunately might be a few dramas there.
Well, you definitely don't go to the pits unless you have to. Gone are the days of my ashtray is full, can I empty it?
Yeah,
Or my cigarette lighter dropped to the bottom of the car.
need another one.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. Unfortunately, this is true. All true stories. I remember the Williams brothers at Baruta here back in the 70s driving their Baja and complaining that they kept dropping their cigarettes when they were lit.
Oh,
This
good.
is in the open face helmet days. So, yes, people used to smoke when they drove. But that was before the Confederation of Australian Motorsport came in
I mean, yeah.
to dictate some new rules, and I think they were needed. Could you imagine driving around with some race fuel, having a cigarette while you drive?
Just
Just
extraordinary, isn't it, when you
mind
think about
blowing,
it?
isn't it?
Here is your man, Si Slip, coming through. We'll see
Oh,
how he goes
Si,
this
yeah, what's he
corner.
going to do? Oh, he's gone wide again, but this time,
More control, a lot more control in
Definitely.
that one.
yeah, less speed. You can see the front of these cars bouncing and carrying on there as they struggle to keep the suspension cool enough to work properly. Is coming into view here the Shipton Ford Ranger.
So you saw the Si Slip go through on their third lap with a 12.10.
Toby just absolutely loves the Windy Salters encouraging scream.
I'm very impressed. So that was a 12.13 from Michael Shipton and Paul Aussie Off-Road Media Jordan. He does a great job also in the media department. That is Paul Jordan. So great to see. They
Definitely.
move up into 7th for the heat. So some good news there for Michael Shipton fans. Nick Hicks still in the pits, unfortunately. Blake Ridley and Andy Maxwell still on their third of 6 laps. So we're nearing the second half of the Section 2, Lyndon. Of course, for those that are leaving us here on the hill, we'll go green again at 8:30 in the morning, of course, with 2 heats of 5 laps to conclude the 2022 ToughAs MiniPave 250. And yeah, we'll definitely be in the all of a new champion, an inaugural champion. So all eyes now on the prize, on the finish here, because Andrew and Tegan Moles are working their way